Cameras are put down.
That's up to the president.
It's here.
He moved you, Brenda, I didn't move you, just so you know.
We all.
Oh, yeah, we've done
I don't know, as soon as she tells me we're good.
Oh, she said.
We're good? Good evening. Tonight we'll call to order the City of Shamokin Council Workshop, September 8th, 2021 at 6 p.m. We'll start with a pledge to the flag and a brief moment of silence. I pledge allegiance
to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you. Roll call, Mr. Slavy.
Mr. Verano?
Here.
Mrs. Moyer?
Here.
Mr. Roten?
Here.
Mrs. Seidel?
Here.
And Mayor Brown?
Here, sir.
All present and accounted for?
All right. The
Come on in, guys.
now try and remember the camera is right here, so nobody stands directly in front of it. We're live. We are on a YouTube channel tonight, folks, for the meeting. I'm hoping you can see online. The decision to do this tonight was because of Northumberland County becoming a substantial transmission county. It turned red last week. So we restricted access to the workshop tonight to the public for that reason. As you can see in the room, we have a lot of staff people here that requested to be here to speak tonight. So the room is packed with just our staff folks. The decision was made between myself and Mr. Slavy for tonight, and the rest of the council will be brought in on any decisions for the actual public meetings at some point in time tonight. I'll have that for discussion. So at this time, the fire chiefs for the city of Shamokin are here. They've requested some time with the city to speak to us. If you gentlemen want to go ahead, that way you don't have to be here any longer.
Okay. Is it just gonna be one spokesperson or more than one?
Yeah, probably just me for now, unless they want to jump in and say some things. Obviously, the reason for the meeting is we're amongst the fire chiefs, and over this past year, we've been discussing the operations of the fire bureau, of how it's actually been, how it's been running. I mean, obviously, through social media, the news, everything else, you're always hearing there's problems with the volunteer organizations throughout not only Shamokin, Northumberland County, the state, throughout the country. Obviously, it's something that we feel dearly about, and we see that there's obviously problems that will be down the road. We met with council beginning of the year, after or before the first of the year, and we had a study done for the consolidation merging of the fire bureau. We were hoping with that, for some of the companies to look at different ways to maybe increase their manpower, their volunteerism, and make things work out for us. That's not working at all. Over the past few months, obviously, I've been providing Councilman Rowe a monthly report on the fire bureau on actually how it's running. Gives us a call stats. It sort of explains some of the stuff that's going on, but it's a very small picture of actually what's happening. I have that here for so if you haven't received it already, it might send to your email, which is the call stats for this past month. What it's coming down to is back in 2001, we sort of did a study of the number of people that we've had in the department. We roughly had about 125 active members, that were guaranteed pretty much to be there in case the fire alarm went off. On all 6 companies. As the years went on, we did another one in 2010, and it dropped almost by half. Just did another run here recently, and what it comes down to, we're averaging about 25 people actively in the fire bureau. And that is jeopardizing the safety of the city. Manpower is a big issue. Response time is a big issue. It's either delayed or it's non-existent by a lot of companies. That's the run stats for August. And if you look at those run stats, it'll tell you dispatch, response, on scene, stuff like that. Now, granted, there are some in there that, there's no times because they're canceled. We're gonna call it the high rise. Fire chief gets it real quick. Somebody posted their post and, it's nothing. And we put everybody in service as long as the fire department's not needed. This is the year stats, year to date. It explains everything and it shows you all the people that respond to calls. And on here you can see there's some here that say 3, some say 6, and you'll see lots of 0. So when it comes down to it, we broke it down to the engines, the rescue truck, the ladder truck, on the number amount of people that respond, average on manpower. That's what we're on this paper. Is it? So that's on here as well.
Do I have him?
Currently, for the year, we're somewhere around 255 calls. Right now, we average about 350 calls, 400 calls a year. So we're above average. We're providing a lot more services outside the city than years past. Why? Because volunteerism is falling apart outside the community. What we're looking to do is asking the city to help us along. We talked about the merge consolidation. Consolidation might not be the good word because it makes everybody think that the fire chiefs want their money. The city wants their money. That's not the case. I guess merge is probably the better word for everything, where we can take everything, put it under one roof, operate as one, and not worry about what the firehouses are doing. Obviously, with the firehouses to help us, either through their membership, maybe some fundraising activities to help us pay bills if we can get a building. The problem is getting a building. The fire department doesn't have the money to do it. We reached out to CEDACOG, we've talked with the state, we've been back and forth. They give us some ideas on grants. We know about the grants. We do the grants every year. Those grants aren't for putting up buildings. They're replacing equipment, they're for training, but they're not for construction, at least not yet. And my fear is something's gonna happen. It's going to be delayed, and I don't want to say it again. Someone's going to die doing it, and that pulls very hard in my heart. A lot of us put a lot of time in this department, a lot of hours. Ray's the fire chief in Colton, as well as the police chief here. He knows what I'm saying. The mayor's a volunteer fireman in the city. Scott's a volunteer fireman in the city. Charlie's a volunteer fireman. We know what it used to be and what it's not now. And I think it's time that, we take the lead because there's a lot of people seeing what we're doing. They know what we want to do. Sunbury Fire Department is doing the exact same thing. They're looking to merge and consolidate because they don't got the people. They've gone to the point where they downsize their response calls. They're dispatching with their all-tone by Apparatus, hoping people will pick up those trucks. We're going to do it too. Come October, we're going to drop one tone and hope we can fill the trucks, and try to move forward. I can't stress enough the importance that we need to do this. It's hard. The fire chief job for me has become a full-time job, besides my full-time job at the county, because I take so many different type of phone calls. I hear from all the companies in the county. I work with organizations throughout the country, hear the same exact story. I was talking with the director from Lycoming County. She's involved in the Dueling World Series. Probably because that they had the COVID scare, or if you want to call it, the precaution that they set up was probably a godsend for them because they didn't have the volunteers to help organize this event. We're seeing that here every single day. Now, we're trying different ways to increase more visibility for the fire department. We did the Fetcher truck this past Saturday. I can honestly say it went very well. I'm very proud of it. And I've talked to a bunch of other people who said they'd be more interested in doing it again and participating with more. So we'll see what happens next year. I had something written up here, and I'll go to, well, you guys want to read it, but I don't want to take up all your time tonight. And I just want to stress the importance that we see as putting the fire department first right now, and because we don't know where it's going to go. We 10 years ago we said 10 years, and it's getting shorter. It's getting shorter every year. Job obligations, family commitments. It's not for me, and what do I get out of it? Is what we're seeing.
Chief,
Yes, sir.
did you say you have something on paper that can be read?
Yeah, it's sort of pieced together. And here's another thing, Mr. Slavey, is this sheet here is the individual responses by every member of the department.
That's it.
Now, we have 200 and... I folded this in, let you read. Well, this is broken down for the year. So 2,453 people respond. That's broken down for the year. But it comes out to we probably have on the roster probably about 150 people on the roster. But we look at it as you take 50% of the calls and calculate them, and that's your active membership. You'll see about 20 people on that list.
I've looked this over, and in the years that I've been here, I've read a lot of others, and in my opinion, people are important. You won't get an argument from anybody in this room. So with that said, if we have to, we'll put this under my section. I'm sure the mayor doesn't object to me.
For the public meeting.
Right.
And
What's that?
this form here is
Yes, I mean, that's,
basically our run stats for the year, for the day. And it's all broken down.
Yeah.
And this highlights the calls.
at the public
You can
meeting,
see
Yeah.
our daytime calls are increasing and our manpower is doing good.
at the public meeting on the 13th, we'll read this at a public meeting when the meeting is covered by, news, either virtual or in person, with either letter, statement, comments, reserves, to be put out there to the public.
I think we could be able to roughly, I know as long as it needs to be locked down.
And you might have some that show some interest
And then it's
to
just
hang out for a
bow wow.
while. If you take, except 10 applications, you can
Uh-huh.
expect to get 2, 1 might stay. And that's the way it's working. It's just, the age of the fire department is increasing. Kenny's the oldest guy here. I think he's like 66 or something. But well,
You will be that on Sunday.
but Dave's the battalion chief. He's 40 years old. And we have members in the department, that are active for 50 years, 40 years, stuff like that. And, they're still going, but they're people that we rely on to look at. At the friendship, they have Denny Keegan, who's been there for 50 years. He's the main operator of that fire engine during the day or at night. He goes away, it's gone. And that's the stuff that we look at. The same thing over the rescue truck. We have certain drivers. The drivers play a big responsibility. The officers play a bigger responsibility. And the firefighters play even a bigger responsibility. And they're going away. And we looked at putting everybody in the one house. Because what's going on is, you got one fire truck getting out with 3 guys, one fire truck getting out with 2, one's not even coming, and so you have a house fire going on, you're 10, 15, 20 minutes into the call, and everybody's showing up. So we're depending on mutual aid to come in, to help us, and vice versa. And I mean, there's members of council here that have actually seen the fires, in live and see what's showing up. And you see the fire chief walking in circles because he can't figure out who's coming. And now when you have a house burning, 2 houses, 3 houses burning with 10 people showing up, you're not going to do much at all. You're going to lose houses. And that's what we don't see here.
Is all of this the same?
Yes. And there's a lot more to it. The age of our equipment, the age of our personnel. It just, council, look at different ways to help push this along, support what the fire departments see. That'd be a big help. I can't speak for the other companies, and I'd like to. But
Do you have a suggestion besides asking council so you move along? Because it sounds like, you mentioned 3 without names.
Is there any problem? Here's how we can.
we looked at different ways of acquiring properties. We looked at the Transfiguration School and the property over there. We talked with the priest over there. They want $80,000 for the property. Probably the only place in town that's available, other than the lot that that they have an Independence Street. And but the problem is, we don't have $80,000. We don't have $100,000 to tear something down, and we don't have a couple $100,000 to build a fire station. I mean, a lot of these firehouses, depend on bar business to support their bills, pay their staff, and the ones who don't have it depend on hoagie sales and block parties to pay their bills, and fix their broken stuff. We don't have it, and obviously, in the condition that that this region is in, the tax base won't support, much of anything really. If we're down in Adams County and they're building multi-million-dollar fire stations and buying multi-million-dollar ladder trucks yearly. Well, maybe not yearly, but quite often. But
Steve, the last meeting that I was at, we discussed consolidation, and the state came here with the team over at the squad building. Last I remember is they broke groups down into committees.
Right.
And for the state to be able to start to fund any type of movement to consolidation, one house type of thing, those committees were supposed to get together and report back. I realize COVID hit.
Right.
Have we started to have those committees meet and do the things that the state had on their checklist at dealing with the Act 4017 of the state over the last 6 years now? There's a lot of rework that gets done before they get involved to help you with any kind of funding or anything else. Can we get back on that track to check their boxes to be able to start?
Well, we put together a small budget of what we think would work. Kenny has put that together. The bylaws, we sort of rewrote the bylaws to fit what they were talking about. They talked about fitting the ordinance in with the bylaws, and the bylaws in with the operation procedure. We did that. That's all done. They talked about putting a building committee together. Well, we can't put a building together because we don't know how much it's going to cost. We don't know where the money's going to come from. So that was that.
And part of the reason why I talk about the state and the committees and everything else is the state just recently has been released to be able to come to meetings. It's probably not going to be too much longer until they get restricted again.
Right.
So maybe we need to get them back in the room.
I know talking with Mr. Carpenter, he's very much wants to be involved in it. In my talk here, well, before COVID really started, And we haven't talked since, but I'm sure that he'd be interested in helping out.
There was a lady that was that was a consolidation specialist. I forget where it was. It just maybe it's time. Kim Bryson. Maybe it's time to revisit and say, listen, we've done steps X, Y, Z, 1, 2, 4, whatever we filled in those gaps. For them to be able to say, okay, you've listened to done certain things that we expected of you, now we can do this. But again, it's been one of those things where they give you tasks before they decide that they're gonna step in and provide assistance.
Probably most of it we've initiated.
But have we gotten it to them yet? That they
Well, we're at the point where we were told stop. And stop. So,
Can I reach out to Mr. Carpenter and set something up for this? Sometimes I know for a fact that he is, or Northumberland County.
no, absolutely.
Okay.
Steve, you said about transfiguration, they like kind of a set figure. I mean, is there?
He was pretty much set on $80,000, that's where we're at. And
Because basically it's sitting over there. And
Well, Cal-
yeah.
My budget.
Council wrote was with this one,
Oh, okay.
he was
I
pretty much
just-
set on
Right
that.
out. He said right out, he can let it sit there.
Okay.
I mean, the property itself in size would
Yeah.
be sufficient. You know, if we acquired the property behind it, in addition to that, that'd be better yet. But, you know,
I think
I don't know. But yes, if we could set a meeting up with Mr. Carpenter and figure out what we can do before. But you know, they talked about, like I said, different grants. They threw a couple different grants out. We're all familiar with them, and they don't do nothing for us at all. You know, there's a USDA grant out there that we could probably go after, but how do we pay?
Well, we can set it up and at least somehow bring it to a conclusion. Is there hope or is there no hope?
I would sure hope there's hope, because honestly,
I'm just saying, because you don't want to stay in limbo.
I think that would help the numbers. I mean, because right now you're facing a very serious manpower.
I think it would help the numbers. I mean, we're a busy enough department to keep people interested. You know, I think we could take advantage of. We have a QRS in the city that runs 1,500 calls a year. That alone, you know, people want to keep people interested. Because right now, there's no interest.
How many trucks do they fit in the rescue fire?
Not all of them.
I mean, for stuff.
I mean, there's options out there. I mean, that's one option. The other option is,
I'm thinking short term and long term.
you know, the other option is the school. The other option is, I'm not sure how big they're building their building over there, but
Bottom line is you have a lot of apparatus, a little amount of manpower.
That's the
You get that little amount of manpower and all that apparatus, and everybody's there doing their own thing. If you can get them all on one apparatus,
at least you have.
3, 4 apparatus,
we
you have the manpower.
we
at
can
least to
effectively
control.
put fire out two fire engines in the city. We
If you
do it
went
all the time. You know, if we burn an apartment room, or if we burn 9, 15 houses, 2 fire trucks usually do the job. Obviously, we're calling for help, but 2 fire trucks normally do the job.
But the help you're calling for is for manpower, not for the additional.
Right. We're calling for manpower, not
Yes.
calling for.
Right now, you're not getting.
Our specialty stuff, we're probably calling for their ladder trucks.
Right.
But, you know, we're calling for people. That's what it's about.
Most of the mutual aid apparatus comes down parts.
Daytime.
They
provide
daytime,
they put them off of the
As far-
apparatus, but not the
Yeah.
You can go
apparatus.
after
Daytime is over.
6, 7 o'clock at night till probably 4, 5, 6 o'clock in the morning.
That's it.
We're good. Weekends, we're probably good.
At 6 in the morning.
Till 6 at night, we're incredible.
6 to 6.
There's 33 back in service, or I'm still sick.
Even I'll give you an example. Recently had a call, turned out to be nothing, but it was a gas call. Nobody showed up, me and Dave were there, and we're just like, wait. But what we found out later is the ladder truck had one, this engine had two, that engine had one. So where if we were under one house, we would have had four, and they would have responded right away. But nobody knew where these other people were, so they all just sat there. So it's like small stuff like
As long
that.
as you bring that up, for folks here that don't understand, what is the minimum required amount of people to run an engine at a fire scene?
I think it is down to 3 now.
Is it down to that one?
So if there are 2 people on the engine, it's sitting there waiting for a third person to come.
Well, to clarify it, it was 4. There was a driver, an officer, and 2 SCBA people that could board the air packs who actually go in and fight the fire. Now it's 3 because we have powers to kill us. So it's a driver and 2 people that can wear air packs. Because if you can't wear an air pack, there's no sense of going. I mean, don't get me wrong, there's a job for everybody. But if the fire's inside the house, you need to go get it. Or it's gonna get bigger. And
And that was just for people that don't know. I realize we're live, and there's some people here that aren't firefighter, sadly. So you could have 2 people sitting on every truck and they're not responding because they don't have a crew capable of operating the equipment. Is what the point was, correct?
But if they were together in one house, they would be like, hey,
We'd have
we got a
10
four-wheeler
trucks out
They're
there.
gonna be apt to jump on the first piece of apparatus that has a driver ready to go out the door. Every time.
it's just really inefficient. So if I have 4 engines show up a ladder and rescue and they all have 1 or 2, we're kind of corralling them to the 1 main attack engine and 1 main truck duty type area. And then they're just parked all over the place. You know,
Basically, they're
it's
sitting
just not
enough.
efficient. Yeah.
Which isn't efficient.
So that's all we're really doing, corralling them all up, and then we're trying to squeeze our mutual aid vehicles in, providing additional manpower.
I mean, as a department, we're trying our hardest to bring people in for volunteers in the department. You might have some people show up at the firehouse that might be interested. So you explain to them it's the training, it's, your time is free.
I can tell you, 20, 30 years ago, the rescue can attest to it. The rescue ran 3 pieces of apparatus to every call. And back then, you better have been fast getting there.
Used to fight
Because
for the
it was going out. Once they had guys on it, it was gone. You used to fight for a seat on the apparatus.
We always had a crew, even during this time.
And as long as you also mentioned for the non-firefighting people, a new firefighter, how many hours of training before he can ride the truck and fight a fire?
Well, we have the essentials. Right now, we want you to have essentials, which is 100+ hours. You know, but I mean, there's stuff that we can work them into. That's just, we're trying to get them to be interior. Even if we take guys that say, hey, I just want to be exterior, they don't take as much training. We can lower that. But guys that really want to go all the way, and it's for the best that we run them through that training. They got to have fun with it. They can't look at it as this is work for us. You know? But it is quality training, you know, stuff they need.
How many hours?
But they can still
But as you
participate
mentioned,
a lot.
How
But
many
it's
hours
changed.
is
People
essential?
work out of town.
That's what I mean. It's,
How
you
many
get
hours?
your hazmat,
How many hours is
you're getting
the
close to
essentials
200.
course?
Getting close to 200 hours.
Yeah, 100 hours is a lot of hours for someone that's working out of town, you know.
Department now, I think there's probably 2 or 3 people taking the essential program and getting right now.
Yeah, like we do essentials classes all over, and there's a lot of people in them. But I'm just like, I don't know where they come from because I'm like, when we look at our roles, we're like, I got nobody coming in. You know, or we got occasional 1 or 2. But I'm like,
It's not enough to supplement.
yeah. But even a lot of the essentials programs we do in the area, there's a lot of bodies from a bunch of different departments that make up one big class. So you might, like I did one in Denver, we had 30 students, but they were from, you know, Buckhorn, Berwick, Bloomsburg, you know, they're all over the place. And they're just saying, we always ask people in these classes we do, how's your manpower? It's rough, it's rough. Guys are retiring, guys are getting older. But
And some of the outlying areas have new fire. and I'll flip support.
We'll set something up with Mike.
Yeah, we're getting started and see.
But on a brighter note, when I talked about equipment, we met with the grant writer, about 2-3 weeks ago. And, along with Polk Township Fire Department, we're gonna look into a merged, regional project and getting air packs. And, that's gonna be funded through the grant, and probably the relief association will be approved for it.
Now, will each department get a certain amount, or is it coming in one check?
Won't be no checks at all.
Wow.
It all depends on how they look at it as what's to be purchased. Because if we go too high on equipment, we'll be denied. The department, we probably had at one time probably 100 air packs in the department. Now we're down to 36, give or take 1 or 2, other ones that are out there. But the fire bureau in the whole bought 36 air packs 15 years ago. And that's 6 air packs per apparatus, so it comes out. That's what we're looking to do. We're not looking to go any higher. And so we talked to Polk Township, they're probably going to do the same thing. So they have to adjust what they have in their amounts and come back to the grant writer and say, okay, this is where we're at. And he'll say, okay, that's a good number to work with. Let's go for it. But it's going to cost us $2,000 per department for the grant. We're guaranteed 2 years for the grant. If we miss out 1 year, we'll do the next year for $2,000. There's other grant writers out there that charge $4,000, $5,000, $6,000 a year. So I was fortunate enough to know the guy who does the grant and work with him. And so we're going to take a stab at it. We all agree. We'll try. Our air packs are coming to year. It's their end of life. We just bought new cylinders 2 years ago. So
Just to elaborate on that, our breathing apparatus is 17 years old, right? And this project alone will probably be $150,000 or $200,000 just to buy a new breathing apparatus. And then on top of that, as you probably realize, our fire apparatus alone is aging rapidly. Our newest pumper is going to be 19 years old next year. That's the newest one. Right? The oldest one will be 29 years old next year. Right? So even if we can merge, consolidate, and we merge even only half of them apparatus, and engines, we'll say, into one bay, we're still going to need at least two pumpers in the near future. And keep in mind, the ladder truck this year is now 10 years old. So if you want to replace that at 25 years old, that means you have 15 years left. All right, that right now will be at least $1 million. And in that time frame, that 15 years, now you got to replace 2 pumpers at $450,000 each on top of that. So this is a big issue. All right, that's why we're pressing these issues right now to try to go forward. So we can.
And I think Mr. Slavy has seen enough bills from the fire department to know that what I've been saying for the last 3 years is going to change this year.
$37, say $3,700.
More money, but more money in the budget for maintenance.
I called it in space. This big.
I have been here for 7 years. In 2021, I've seen higher expenses than I have in the prior year.
I would probably have more coming up. I know at least one of them at least hires.
It's not cheap.
They were hoping to get it with one of the COVID grants. And they can't spend it on that. So
There's only select things that you can spend. And the fire trucks belong to the city of Shamokin. Somewhere, somehow, either I or there's someone in my positions, I would find the money in order to maintain them. Or really a southern neighborhood champion without fire trucks.
that's just enough line item. I mean, don't have to read that. Just what we're doing. I don't have nothing else unless you guys have something. Dave, you have something?
No, I'm good.
Anything for the fire chief, folks? That's it.
Thank you for what you
Well,
do.
it's Master Clay who came in with my carpenter last time.
Yes, that's all right.
My only question, has it ever been determined if the clubs can still operate if there's one central location?
Yes.
So they can still operate individually and then donate their money?
They can change their charter to become an
Yeah,
association.
Okay.
there's a couple ways that they can do it. One is, if we decide to consolidate, they can change their charters and become an association. Or we merge and they remain the same and we just park everybody under one roof. And we just restructure the fire department. There's, as I said, there's a couple different ways to skin a cat, and that's two of them. There's probably a third, but I think the merge word probably works a lot better than saying consolidating, because consolidation means I want your money.
Right.
Yep. I'd like to say something, as long as the public and all is listening. Last Wednesday, we had a heck of a storm here. An awful lot of rain in 13 hours. And from the bottom of my heart, and I know most of the people in Shamokin I spoke to, I want to extend a hearty thank you to the Shamokin Fire Bureau. The men and women, they were on standby. In a minute's notice, they were dispatched to the Fifth Ward area. They pumped for 6.5 hours, I believe, there. In my opinion, probably saved some major flood. So what they're saying tonight, I'm taking to heart, because without these men and women, we could have had a catastrophe last year. So I want to thank everyone. Steve, I was on the phone with you most of the day. It was a pain in your rear end, but I was getting updates. I was getting tired. Getting, but I do want to thank everyone else. And I also got to throw a little part out to my fire company of friendship, because once again, they did a hell of a job. They really did. So I want to thank them. Thanks a lot. You know what they did. I'll get it on Monday. Oh. Well, you want to finish my end. One that I do want to thank everybody that participated, everybody, because without you, I was getting tired. You came out, took over. Police, everybody was fantastic. I also want to extend a hearty thank you to the Shamokin Township Sewer Authority. I mean, Paul and his crew, they were getting flooded down there. You don't like me to thank him, but he did a heck of a job also. And I know some people are always criticizing my department, which I think is very unfair. I want to give a heart out thank you to my men, because without their preparation, Mayor, we would have flooded. There's no doubt, and I'm not taking credit for that. Mr. Richardson and the men in that department did a wonderful job. And it's my understanding from the chief, there were 2 basins they had to pump, and it was mine. I think that's incredible. So, from my end of it, that's what I got to say. Nothing but thank you. So thank you, everybody. So,
Anybody else have anything for the fire chief?
you can
Stay if you like to.
Thank you.
Thank you, guys.
It doesn't get much better than this.
Hey, take care of yourself. Take care.
You got it. Thank you, guys.
Yep.
Steve, be in touch with Bob tomorrow about that.
I'm leaving for
You have a time for Friday.
what's that?
Good time for Friday.
Friday.
Start time for
Friday.
Friday,
9 o'clock?
9 o'clock at
Yeah.
62 or 60.
Yes, about 9:30 they should be there.
Free smoke alarms again.
You'll have-
For Hill this time.
We'll have members, I know definitely from the friendship that will be there, and they're taking the attack. So somewhere between 9:30 they should be over. My understanding is the Red Cross is sort of going to prep everybody like we did before. Sort of go across the mapping, do a safety plan, do their speech, and do the handout. I'm not sure how many people are going to be there from the Red Cross, considering during these past events they're all spread out here. So Edna has asked if we have volunteers to help. We can send them over.
And we're taking volunteers outside of
Yes.
the park.
Who can they contact if they want to be a volunteer?
Um,
Show up.
Yeah, just show up. They're not gonna turn anybody away. So they're looking for folks to help install as well as carry equipment from place to place. We've done several throughout the years. You know, it's been successful. We've actually gone to houses where we put them in and noticed them. Some have batteries in them, some don't. But they're there.
This is about what, the fourth year? I think the first year we did. The year that we did was Market Street, Raspberry Hill, that kind of section of town.
Might want to speak up.
And then we
We're doing
did,
Sunbury Street and Bunker Hill.
Tony too.
This
right,
See, the new ones, no battery still anymore, 10-year.
They're 10-year battery.
That's it. Because people don't.
I think after they're done Shamokin, they're doing enough on the phone.
Bob, do we have any more here at City Hall?
There's available to the public, there's some.
Yes.
Don't ask me for any more because I don't have any.
Yeah, we don't have it.
No,
While you're
they
doing
used to be,
this,
So,
quite a few in the back.
yeah, we don't have any more.
chief's vehicle that we
I
have.
haven't had it for a while.
Our chief's vehicle or the police chief's vehicle?
Either. Any chief's vehicle, just that we would have a couple of boxes available.
We normally try to keep a box in each fire truck.
Okay.
But
Maybe Red Cross will donate some.
they may. I can tell you that I don't have any left because we rely on the WAP's.
Yeah, I know Zim brought me some up.
They didn't do it last year, so we usually see about 600 of them. And we try to save some, but
Yeah, if it's possible to get a couple of boxes of them for here, because we do have people come in, I won't say regularly, but enough that we should have some here.
And we've always had, we've also had someone come in the back room for that, and it's been over a year. As I received funding, is promised for the region.
if we come across them, we'll definitely let everybody know. Thank you. But, Fox one this weekend.
Okay.
We'll see you later. Thank you.
Take care.
I know Dave left, but Kathy is still here for the codes office. Does anybody have anything that needs to be discussed / deliberated now that we're not in the informational type of meeting between us? Fee schedules, things like that you would want to see put into the ordinance. Were you happy with what was in there? Is there anything? Because it was an informational meeting prior to the actual meeting, council couldn't deliberate on any of the information given to us. So at this time, if you have anything for Kathy, like I said, Dave had to leave, but Kathy still has all the information if anybody has any questions. Very good.
They're sending the sample ordinance.
Yes, ma'am.
Replace what we have.
And then we'll talk about the fee structure and things like that, just to allow that compensation
And
to
then
cover those costs.
their presentation was great, but you presented just the city's.
That's right. Yep, I
Can
can
you
share that.
email that to us and that,
Absolutely.
so we could, the ordinance,
Okay. I got it.
I didn't say it this time. I did not say it.
But I want one suggestion. How did this come about that figure, 1542? I'm just very curious.
They did the analysis based on sewer authority at 50% and other utilities and other things. So, yeah.
Wow. That's
And that's probably low.
600 and some.
Yeah.
I thought it was a little.
Yes.
Yeah. Like.
Yeah, makes sense, right?
Yeah.
Thank you.
Okay.
Sometimes it's not.
My laptop's here, so I'm gonna go register some rentals.
All right. Yeah, it's amazing what we're missing, and what we don't have the capability
Oh,
or
yeah.
technology to reach into utilities to find out where these places are.
Exactly.
And they do.
That's why I said if they get cooperation, because we sure extracting information from the water company, electric company, and post office, we're getting nowhere, and it's time consuming. I can't believe there's that many.
You're looking, you have a long ride, don't you?
As a matter of fact, I do. I won't
We'll
say,
always consider it.
thank you, I won't say, no to going next. First, I'd like to, introduce Aaron Crawford. Aaron is a new hire at CDCOG, and he's going to be training with me here in the city and learning CDBG. We'll be meeting with Mr. Slayton tomorrow and my boss Tyler Dombrowski. He's anxious to get into the community and meet people face to face.
You have to get used to you getting in line.
Well, you can get rid of me if you want to.
No.
Well, no, it's not. I'm teasing. Just some quick information on demolitions. Dewart Street, grass is growing, the project is essentially complete. There is some final billing for the actual final demolition bill, and engineering bill is outstanding. I requested engineering and demolition estimates from Peters. Their ballparking engineering and demolition of East Shamokin Street properties at about $40,000. Yeah, more.
How much did you say?
About around 40. I do have to recommend that you consider waiting to go out to bid on North Shamokin Street until the bids come in from 118, 122 East Independence for the reason. Once all currently obligated commitments are paid for, you're going to have $80,000 left in 2025, and that's it. You will not be able to get any more money until September of 2022. Now, is it possible that you are somehow going to incur $80,000 worth of expenses tearing down North Shamokin? I don't think so, but the thing you must consider is if something unexpected happens, you would have to pay for the city money because the bid will not hold. So, this is just something I have to bring up and talk to you about because,
Do we not have 2021 money?
2021 money won't be available for you to spend until September of 2022. We actually have burned through most of your,
So all 18 and 19 is not gone.
18 is gone, 19 will be gone with 118 and 122. And we still have some payments left.
So,
Okay, now I'm getting a little confused there. On the two downtown,
One of them is Keystone,
you were paying for one, right?
right? 118.
So do we have to do that as a separate demolition from,
No, we're gonna put them together. You mean 118 and 122? They'll be together in the same, they are going to be together in the same contract because one cannot come down without the other. That will separate out the billing,
that's they're gonna separate,
billing.
the one they're doing.
I,
721, 723 might take that much time.
well, no, but if something unexpected,
Okay, I got you.
I just, as your CDBG consultant, I am always going to be
I understand
conservative.
it.
If you're gonna take a risk, it's gonna be because I've told you that I
Right.
think it's a risk.
You don't want us to burn through it all, and then if a building does tumble down, we're stuck.
Yeah, if something unforeseen happens, you're gonna have to dip into your own money. Is something unforeseen gonna happen? I don't think so, but I'm
Well,
remiss if I don't.
They seem to have plenty of unforeseen and not a lot of
Yeah.
money, so
Yeah.
Well,
I'm
and the
not
other
saying
way
you're
to
wrong.
say it, and
The
the other,
721, 723 are the same boat as Wood Street. They're gonna come fall down sooner or later.
well, I guess
Yeah.
it's I guess it's assessing the risk.
I mean, the good part of it is where it is, it's just gonna, it probably won't hurt. I got what you're saying.
Yeah,
I understand.
so I will, certainly
Yeah.
we'll move forward, all the bills get paid. Independence and Jewel will be going out to bid, in October, hopefully. So we're close to getting, to the point where we'll know exactly how much. But then something unexpected could happen with one, there's just,
Yeah.
it's just, their buildings are in bad shape. It all makes me nervous.
Oh, yeah.
On your behalf.
Right.
So, and just to report on the ER for 122 East Independence Street, which is the ER that is holding up the ability to start that project. That review is happily moving into final stage. There is there is a meeting by phone on September 15th at 11:30 a.m. that the Pennsylvania Historic Museum Commission is requiring that either an elected official or Mr. Slavy attend on behalf of the city. CEDACOG is putting together anybody else who would like to come, but we do need to have a city representative at that September 15th, 11:30 a.m.
Yeah.
Really?
Yeah.
You have a court?
Yeah.
I think this, so Bob, it's Jennifer, are you available? Wednesday, September 15th.
Right now, yes.
Is that a yes? Did you say as of now or yes?
Yes.
Yay, okay, done.
Where?
On the phone. We will send you to your email a link to accept, and then you'll be in a phone conference. And what this is, 11:30. More of you can come. Two could come. I mean,
We wouldn't be here.
as many people as want to may come, but the fun. Okay then.
They digress.
Yeah, never. I don't even, I don't wanna know, I'm not gonna ask. This meeting is to talk about, so the problem with the demolition of 122 is that it has been found to have an adverse effect on the city because it is part of the historic district. So the meeting is, what will we do as a city of Shamokin to memorialize that building? May I remind you that your funding agencies are probably gonna watch your video here, so. Well, I don't know about the memorialize, may be the wrong word, just to, the building's coming down, it was a piece of history. Sean Garrigan will also be in the call, he has a lot of good ideas. This is part of the new process that's required for demolishing buildings in the historic district, so it's all.
Final box we have to check.
Yes, thank you, it is, I mean, and it's, it is what it is.
Checking a lot of boxes.
So the earliest we award that bid, I'd probably be November.
The bid docs are ready to go out as soon as,
We get bids and everything.
until you award, it'll be early November.
And they'll have some suggestions for this.
So the ones on Shamokin Street won't, you're saying won't happen until next year sometime.
Well, that would be my recommendation if you're being cautious, but I would look to you and others here to tell me if there's a risk there that I mean, you have to weigh the risk, There's no crystal ball.
Excuse me, you said with 80,000, last time you wanted to jump into Shamokin Street property.
As of right now, with where the estimates are. But, stuff's coming in high and low. It's just like, since COVID, it's all over the place. It's, so I'm just putting it out there for you to understand. We don't need to have an answer tonight, but,
When do you need that survival?
whenever you want to go out to bid, you will, I know that, council did vote, but, I would like you to let me know that you definitely want to go out to bid on Shamokin Street. If you want. That would be my recommendation. I don't want to make that decision.
So I think that the sooner the better, so that you don't get into the winter and have an additional risk of, because of late snow, the building collapsing and blowing out the back into the water street and blowing out the industry. So sooner the better.
You're
Wait,
talking
wait,
about,
Bob,
you're
you're-
talking about
money.
Independence Street.
Bob, you're talking,
Yeah,
We're talking about smoke.
we're talking about Shamokin.
Oh, I'm sorry.
Yeah.
Yes, it's Shamokin and Central. Up on North.
Shamokin is the next.
Yeah.
Is the next one after 118
Right.
and 122.
If that building goes on, it's gonna be.
You already have a
Oh,
clear
my.
UR in that building, so you could start on
I'm sorry.
that. You know, it's okay.
I personally think that bid for that building is fairly long.
I think it should too. I mean, 40,000.
There's really no clean out.
Yeah.
Just,
Right.
just,
I'll be honest with you, they definitely should never even attempt to get inside that.
no.
It's waterlogged bad.
Yeah, it's bad. We were in the back of that. It's-
Well, 122 is no picnic either. And I don't
Well,
mind,
yeah.
and I think 118 is really bad.
Oh,
too.
yeah,
I think part of 122 may have collapsed, quite frankly, because,
you can look right through the windows.
the ceiling, that little, the third floor looks different to me. I keep needing to check my original
The-
pictures.
The facade's coming out.
Yeah,
Oh, yeah, yeah, that's been leaning.
I mean, everything's doom and gloom, but,
You can't vote today.
right, I don't know if you need to vote or just discuss. I just wanted to make you aware that that's a consideration.
Frankly,
It's unlikely, but possible. So, we'll leave it at that, I guess. I do have some, now I want to talk to you about application preparation for 2021. At your Monday meeting, you will do a final vote to select the projects for your 2021 application. I just want to make it clear that that is council's decision. I will not decide, I'm just going to give you the facts and the decision will be yours how to spend the money. I do have really good news, however, and that is, if you want to, you can fund every project that was submitted to you. You have enough funding for that. I did I'll go over everything tonight quickly, and then we can talk, Bob, and decide what you want the motion to be, at the table, and, you'll be able to select either.
That should be on the agenda for.
Yes,
yeah, this should be the
project
final vote.
selection,
Has
it has to
Yeah,
be
this will be the final.
on, in this meeting, you're gonna have project selection, and then I'll remind you closer to the time, at the October meeting, you have the resolution to apply.
But keep in mind, I can't wait until Monday to put the agenda together. I need to have this agenda on that group.
has to be published by Sunday.
Tonight, do you want to decide among you, the motion that you would like to bring for consideration? You're not obligating yourself to vote that way, but, I think it would help you to have a motion to accept certain projects at certain amounts, and I can write that out for you once we discuss and you give me your feedback.
So then, in other words, there'll be the three subjects that we discussed at the first. Is that what's on it? Those
No,
three?
it would be this, okay, so, no,
Okay.
there's actually more than that.
Oh, okay, okay.
The projects that have been submitted are demolition of $78,900, that's 30% of your project,
That's the next.
that's the max.
Right,
First Street reconstruction, which if you
That's the-
remember, that's the one
that's
that
the
we
one that
took
we-
off to make
right.
room for the, downtown improvements because you had the opportunity for additional grant funding.
right.
Now we're gonna put it back in, I'm recommending that you put that back in at 15% higher than the original.
So that's 125, right?
Well, I'm thinking 139,
Okay,
477.
okay.
That's the increase from the original proposal,
Right.
which was 128,938. Now, we never know, but if,
Okay.
I think that would be good. If you remember the Sunbury Community Garden,
Mhm.
ladies showed up and, they created a budget for me of, items that it will take for them to do the work that they would like to do to that garden. 39,857 is what they have asked you to consider. And I also had a request for code enforcement, again, to start a code enforcement project of $5,000. Now, the code enforcement project, I am gonna have to go over some of the details with you about doing that, project if you would like to consider it. So when you did code enforcement before, you pretty much just, reimbursed yourselves for code work. DCED regulations say that code enforcement needs to be part of a greater effort. Actually, the DC recommendation I got from my grants manager was to create a small area where you're doing demolition, code enforcement, lighting, housing rehabilitation as part of a targeted improvement. That would be a commitment of additional funding other than what is currently on your list and a departure from the way that you've typically done things in the past. That is the way that they see code enforcement impacting communities in the most beneficial way. Looking at regulations, I think you can make a case that you can do code enforcement citywide because you have citywide LMI. If the city tracks the number of code tickets written each month, the number of red X properties existing in the city each month, number of demolitions, CDBG and other each month, and housing rehabs constructed in the city each month. Either way, to get code funding, you are gonna have to have code officers or somebody doing more work to track results. The state's preference is more labor intensive. My read on the regulation would be less labor intensive, but I also can't promise you that the state would accept that. They have final say in how CDBG regulations are enforced.
Did I hear you correctly? Or was it just a
I am talking through my mask, go ahead.
misstatement that we are now citywide low and moderate income?
Yes, you are,
Bunker Hill included.
everything in the city. Well, I don't know if Bunker Hill is on its own, a block group that's low to moderate income, I doubt it. However, when you take all the block groups in the city and average them out, you have 52% low to moderate income population in the entire city. Now, there's some areas that are higher income and others that are lower, but averaged out, you have 52%.
No, there's a reason I'm asking.
Okay,
And Charlie knows exactly where I'm going with it.
I'm
interested myself.
And so I don't know exactly. where I'm going.
Bunker Hill was almost, okay, I'm sorry. It was always
Yeah,
excluded
it was
because they
always
said it was a
excluded.
higher income.
And we've got streets up there that
Yep.
are in bad shape.
Terrible shape, yeah.
well, this is, again, so I'm giving you my opinion based on working in Shamokin. I can't guarantee what DCED is going to agree with. They are the final arbiter of the regulations governing this program. However, what I see in the city of Shamokin is pockets of areas that need code enforcement all over the place. And DCED's point is when you focus it in, you show a greater impact. However, the case I think you could make here is that at this point, we're looking at Shamokin having serious fire hazards and health risks. This isn't just about bringing things back. We do want to bring things back. We do want to rehab, so we're not tearing everything down. But right now, we're still in secure, stabilize, and make safe mode. So I think we can make a case that you could do, because the way the regulation is written, you could do citywide LMI because it's your LMI area. You have to do the work in an LMI area. Your entire city is an LMI area.
So what do we have to do to get that answer?
I would have to put you would need to vote to put $5,000 in code enforcement. That's my recommendation because that's what you did before, and you actually almost have a hard time spending that much because of the number of people that you had, so I wouldn't recommend more. We would put it in the application, and then if they're gonna deny it, they will come back and deny it, and then we need to take it out.
Bob, do you remember what the hourly rate was for a part-time code officer that was also a fire chief?
$10, wasn't it? $7.
10's just recent.
Yeah, I don't.
Oh, that's right, it was.
It may, I'll tell you what,
Because that would be the next thing I'm gonna say we need to change.
Yep.
Did it for everybody else.
I think you're talking about it.
And I think you may get more activity out of.
Well, you can bump that amount up. I mean, we would just need to look at the overall amount. You know, you've got, $263,234.
Across the board.
Yeah, now,
What he's saying.
yes.
it will just put out.
I think they were only around like 750.
You know what, I think you are right. They were good, they
It's a
are.
minimum wage.
Right.
Yeah.
So what I'm getting at is bump that hourly rate up to
And you'll need more than
what
five.
everything else is.
I think we almost have to because we changed.
I don't think it would be more.
That's fair.
I think we'd still be.
For Monday, all I need is the council to be prepared to take a vote on the amount total that you're putting into code, and then I would want your help to write the application.
Right. But what my question's coming back to is, how do we find out before we worry about the code stuff around it, if the city is citywide LMI?
I know the city's citywide LMI, I have documentation.
So we can absolutely use that CDBG money anywhere in the city.
As long as it's benefiting the entire city.
So Bunker Hill then will qualify.
And the reason I'm asking, because it makes me second guess what we're gonna vote.
I mean, I to be very honest with you, I don't take away from the girls with the project with the planners and all that, but I'll tell you,
40's a lot for a barn.
I mean,
If you can put it on the street.
yes. Anybody that's been up Bunker Hill now, Scott, we live up there. There's not, Jennifer, I mean, there's not much
Those
more.
streets have not been,
No.
there, not a street up there has been touched
I'm
in
sorry, yeah,
probably 25, 20 years.
yeah,
Sorry, one block
Yep.
of Shamokin Street between Dewar and Sunbury. And
And
that was only
Dewberry.
because the sewer authority did the
Yep.
project or the water company.
that's correct. And George Street was done because they were, yeah. Other than that, I'm up to 36 years, there's been no street
Well, when
paved.
you're talking about road projects, see, CDBG is so complicated. It depends on who benefits. If you're doing a road project that benefits the entire city, then you know that road project will qualify because the entire city is 52% LMI. If you're in Bunker Hill, and I don't know what it is, but let's just say that the current American Community Survey data we have on income in the city of Shamokin is that the Bunker Hill area is 30% LMI. I think it's, I have no idea what it really is. If you put a road project in that only benefits Bunker Hill, then no, you can't use that data to benefit.
Well, how does a demo project benefit anybody?
That's different. There's 3 ways to qualify.
That's where we're getting.
Yeah,
You must either A, benefit low to moderate income individuals, B, remove slum or blight. Demolition, you meet your national objective when you take down the building and reduce the blight. So it qualifies differently. However, code enforcement, even though it seems like it should be part of slum blight, is actually qualified under income. It's confusing, I know, that's why you hired me.
Yeah.
It's job security.
So, okay, I'll ask this
Yeah, that's
right now. If we altered that to do something on Bunker Hill, how long does it take for us to find out, A, if it can be done?
Well, it's not something on Bunker Hill with CDBG. It depends on what you're doing in.
Okay, I won't say Bunker Hill. If we say we wanna pave part of Shamokin Street.
Yeah.
In the city of Shamokin,
Shamokin
what do we gotta do to find out if we can do it?
I would have to look at this part that you want to pave. I would have to determine who uses that street on a daily basis.
School buses and everybody,
Well, let me throw
the
this.
same way with.
Well, roads are really confusing. I'd rather stick to code, but
Let me throw this just.
samples.
Yep, well, God.
Yeah.
Just in the mix, we have a developable property
Correct.
that is sitting at the top of Shamokin Street.
That's correct.
That the development of that property
Would
may
benefit
be affected by the roadway status of
Yes.
Shamokin Street going up. Does it then become a community benefit to improve the roadway to be able to develop a large commercial property on that?
No, that's not how they look at it. We gotta back up because,
Everybody can drive on it.
no, but hang on, I need to get some information out there. It's frustrating, it's difficult, I hate it, but it's the regulations that we have to go by. I wanna make a point. Code is different than streets. When you're talking about, CDBG is a two-pronged approach. A, it has to be fundable, which means it either has to benefit a low to moderate income population or it has to determine slum or blight. Then it has to be eligible, which means it has to be an eligible activity. Some activities are eligible only under slum blight, some activities are eligible only under, so there's all kinds of a spectrum. The rules that apply to code do not apply to streets.
And I understand that.
I just wanna get that out so everybody
So,
understands.
but you keep going back to the LMI.
Mhm.
We're saying it's citywide, but then we're turning around and saying, correct me if I'm wrong, that Bunker Hill might not be LMI?
No, Bunker Hill is LMI, is the road that you're gonna work on if you're going back to roads. Now,
Okay.
so if you're doing a code project, and the code project has to benefit a low to moderate income area. Your low to moderate income area in this case is the entire city. So you can do code anywhere you want, if DCED is gonna agree with my way of thinking. When you're doing a road project, you have to look at who uses the road. For instance, say you wanted to do a road project on Sunbury Street. It would never be eligible because there are too many people that don't even live in Shamokin that use that street, so we couldn't figure out who the primary users are.
Okay, so let's say Rock Street, school buses go up and down.
School buses go up and down Rock Street. Are they is Rock Street the only street in the city that school buses go up and down?
Nope.
No. Does every school bus in the city that serves the city go up and down Rock Street? No.
Wait a minute, wait a minute. Okay, aside from that, I'm looking at it a different way. I understand what you're saying, it gotta benefit everybody. You're asking me though, and again, I know I'm gonna get criticized tomorrow, but that's fine, I'll take it. I'm gonna vote, I'm putting $39,000 for, and these girls do a heck of a job, on a garden, okay, for a garden, but you're telling me a street can't be paved. How's that benefiting the citizens of Shamokin?
Charlie, no disrespect to you. She doesn't write the policies.
I know that, Bob, but.
Wait, hang on. You know what? I'll answer
I
that.
think what he's asking is, how does that qualify?
Wait a minute, Bob. Wait a minute, Bob. Leave me
He's
finish.
confused.
I'm the guy that gets the heat, and I'm glad Scott stick. Bunker Hill's a total mess. Now, you're talking about a disaster. There could be a very bad disaster up there, and I understand what you're saying, but you're telling me, and again, I'm sure I get criticized, but I'll take it.
It's not
I'm
criticism.
getting, no, wait a minute, but you're gonna put 39, I'll say $40,000 for garden, I'm calling them garden plots, I don't know what they are, and I'm not against the women, but you're telling me a street's not important.
No, I'm not telling you a street's not important.
It falls
Charlie,
under different
Charlie,
criteria.
please look at me. Please maintain eye contact with me. This has nothing to do with what's important, Charlie. This has to do with federal legislation and the
I
fact.
get that, but.
Wait, please. And the fact that if I don't counsel you on how that federal legislation works, you could pay money back. And you hire me to make sure that you don't pay money back. I
I hear you.
agree with you.
I get you.
I agree with you. It's just,
I just
it's
disagree.
frustrating.
Yes.
It's,
I understand where you're coming from. I'm just explaining from my point of view.
yeah.
It's frustrating me. I'm here 7.5 years to see what's happened on Bunker Hill. It's deteriorated, and I get your criterion.
Yeah,
Again, I'm
you
not
have
gonna,
to, you have
I'm not
to.
gonna prolong it. I understand what you're
Yeah.
telling me. I'm just speaking from the heart.
No, I get you.
I don't, I disagree.
Aside of that,
I disagree.
how did First Street qualify to be paved?
Yeah.
But not somewhere else?
Yeah, because First Street benefits a neighborhood that is entirely in a low to moderate income block group.
All right, but, I understand.
It's not gonna make sense. It doesn't make sense.
Well, it doesn't. It does, I know they do, but it doesn't make sense.
So we don't know what the block group is up there, up in that area.
Okay.
I don't know off the top of my head.
It's just frustrating.
I'm pretty sure it's not gonna fall in low moderate income.
No,
I think
Scott,
they're-
look at,
I really do.
I think
Listen,
it's over.
I understand what she's saying, and I'm not gonna prolong it.
It's
I
been over
respect
for
what she's
years.
doing and all that, but I personally, to me,
You don't agree with the regulations.
no, I don't. No, I don't.
I
That
understand
is,
that.
to me, is stupid taxpayer money. I'm sorry, I'm not yelling at you. That's how I feel. Seriously. And I devote a lot of time to
No.
this job. And no, I mean, and I'm telling you, and the mayor will tell you, I get the calls. I mean,
Let them know that it's not anything you can.
Linda, I will even know. I hope the press is listening because I'm fighting for the system to smoke.
No, I know you are, and this
You know,
is
go ahead,
a
I'm
heavily
fine.
regulated, this is a heavily regulated.
I understand, I'm fine with it.
I do want to reiterate that whether or not you fund the community garden and how much you fund the community garden is entirely up to you.
Yeah.
Yeah, you can lower the amount to,
You can lower the
Brenda, I do
amount.
understand.
You can,
I made my point. I'm not blaming her.
no, I don't take
just-
it that way.
To
I'm
me, it
just a
just
very
makes-
practical person. It's
So am
like,
I.
we can
it
wish
just
for
makes sense.
everything, but I can't say to you, yes, that's an allowable
I
use of your money.
understand. Listen, who else can I yell at?
No, go ahead.
I'm trying to defend the taxpayers of Shamokin, because I get it on a daily basis, probably more than anybody in this room. And I'm just relaying the message. I understand what you're telling me. I don't like it, and I know there's nothing you could do, but I don't like it.
It would
That's all.
take a change of federal legislation.
I know it's not because Charlie Brown will like it, but I still can voice my opinion.
Absolutely.
Until I leave this office, I'm gonna voice my opinion. Like or dislike, I'm gonna voice my opinion.
So Linda, can you find out what, their status is on Bunker Hill?
Yeah.
To get the definitive answer.
So are you saying that you would prefer to do a road project on Bunker Hill? Is that where this conversation's going?
That would be the objective of Councilman Morano. He would like to see that versus, maybe not taking the whole 39,000 away, but some portion of it and utilizing it towards fixing streets.
More streets than just First
Yes.
Street?
Yes.
So you're not talking about instead of First Street, because my understanding was that was the priority for this year.
Yes, I want First Street, but I'm
Okay.
talking about additional streets.
Okay,
That's what I'm trying to do here. I think that's what Scott's saying. I mean, again,
I don't have a lot of time to work it up
Okay.
before Monday.
That's, okay, that's
No,
fine.
but I will definitely do that.
I just feel there's more need. That's all I'm saying. I understand what you're telling
And
me.
the only, and I understand with it, it's not you, and
No, I don't
it's
take it
just
that
the
way.
rules.
It's frustrating.
But why I'm questioning is because since I've been here, Bunker Hill has always not been an
Nothing.
LMI.
Nothing.
And that's why I'm questioning, how do we find out
Right.
that it definitely is, that we can do projects there?
Okay, I will
Do
need
you have to
I will
submit the
need to look.
project to find that out?
No, I need to look at a map and see exactly what street you're talking about. Go to that street, see who uses that street, and if it's just a neighborhood street in a specific block group, I can see what the percentage is and I can say, yeah, that'll qualify. If it is not, then we have to survey everybody who uses that street.
Linda,
And that is really tough because it's hard to get people to answer the door for surveys in Shamokin.
Yeah, because you gotta ask them their income level and everything else. I know exactly what you're
But
talking
the
about.
very first time that we wanted to do Diamond Street, which was Kevin's recommendation, I only got one person out of 7 to answer the door.
Yeah.
So we could never even get a finished survey.
And Linda, to the mayor's point, what he's talking about up there, we just spend, how much we spend on the Shore project, Bob?
$400,000.
Almost, yeah, okay, and you're looking at what they wanted, well, what the plan was to do was to get homes up there, so you're looking at probably spending another $1 million. The condition of streets, I don't,
Yeah, I understand that, but you know
and I
what?
understand where you're coming from, but you understand my fight.
I do, but I can't,
Okay.
there's no way to impact
I
it,
just want,
Charlie.
I get
There
it,
isn't any way
but
that.
I just want you to know that's,
Yeah, I understand your
Okay,
frustration.
no problem.
completely.
I
I'm
understand.
not upset with you for, I'm just
No, I'm not
trying
either.
to
That's all I'm
guide
saying
you
with
to
the
make
system.
it. Yes, I'm just trying to guide you to making.
I was elected to fight for the citizens of Shamokin, and that's what I'm trying to do. I just feel, to me, that And I know you can't change it, neither can I, but
Yeah.
I'm just voicing my opinion.
I got
That's
you.
all.
I understand.
You know,
completely.
Yep, I'm fine with it.
I'm sorry, before we get too much further away from
Yeah.
this,
Go ahead.
for Monday, do you have the wording and
Yeah.
will you email?
I will, but I am not confident that that I understand council's wishes for what that wording will be. And how do you wanna make this decision by Monday, because
So does
unfortunately,
it have to be another meeting?
no, you gotta do it tonight and Monday.
If this is what the projects are, there's not even.
And that, the deadlines have, I will
Yeah.
correct this, I mean, the deadlines have passed everything, so
We're not
even
gonna
if we
change
went
that.
back to the community gardens people,
Yeah,
they've already
it's-
submitted as is, and that stays intact through this
That's
process.
Well, no, you could, I have a budget from the community garden people, you could give them less money and then they could decide how they wanted to spend it.
Let's say if we said, they asked for 40, we decided to give them 10, what can we do with the other 30?
Yeah,
Yeah,
what
would be the point? Well, if you wanted to give them 10, you could take 30 and put it into any of these other projects, like you could try to find more street work.
paving?
Sure, we can
Well,
do
there's
paving.
lots of paving.
There's a lot of paving, John, everywhere in the city, in LMI. I mean,
With the costs, it's how high it is to pave a street, it wouldn't take long to burn through one.
Oh,
30,000, you're gonna
You're not
take
gonna
it
get
a
Thirty
lot.
thousand, you're gonna be lucky if you get a block paved.
Yep, you're pretty much right, Scott.
Oh,
yeah.
Yeah.
Because of the prices.
Yeah.
To be very honest with you, you're not gonna get a line, John, seriously.
It's expensive.
Okay,
With
so
the expenses,
let's do this and see if this helps. Well, the other thing I have to say, just so for disclosure, is that there is your project funding is $263,234. Your total funding is $316,934. The difference is $53,700 that goes to CDCOG for administering your CDBG program. Just so you're aware
Yeah.
that money is coming out off the top. So you have these submitted projects, demolition, which I think we're all on the same page. Demolition should get as much as it possibly can, right?
yes.
First Street reconstruction, code enforcement,
Mhm.
and, hang on. And the Sunbury Street Community Garden.
Just what it is.
That is what people have asked for. You are under no obligation to fund any of that. It's your choice.
But if you're on a deadline, you're never gonna be able to, like Scott said, I probably cannot really get a street done for that price at this point.
Okay, so what
So I
about
mean, it's more-
demolition?
We can't do more, we're maxed at 30%.
Yeah, we're already maxed out, so I expressed my opinion, that's all I did. I would say you're gonna have to do it as is, 'cause
Well, the other thing is, maybe you could put more money into First Street reconstruction and pave additional sections that still serve that block route. But if you're looking at wanting to get something done on Bunker Hill, I would say make it a priority for next year. Because we might need to survey.
yeah.
What blocks are you looking for street trucks?
I have that, hang on a second.
It's the one,
The part that really sucks about First Street,
yes,
and you all know what I'm gonna say,
yes, yes.
is we only own one side of it.
Mhm. But PennDOT has assigned ownership of First Street to the city of Shamokin.
The whole
Of course
street.
they have.
Once you hit the third line, it's whole town.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So the residents are,
Benefit.
only half of the residents are gonna be served, live in the city.
Pretty much.
Yeah, but unfortunately, I guess that somehow PennDOT has given you guys the
The
responsibility
roadway, yes.
of the roadway. I'm not,
Yes,
that's
which is
not.
another pain.
Okay, so the
Yeah,
way this
you're right.
project was proposed originally
This was
was
on before I even.
First Street between Independence and Chestnut Streets, which is 3 blocks, and then Water Street between First and Second Streets.
First between Independence
Why do you take out this
and
first?
Chestnut.
That's what it is. Well, you could, right? You could.
I mean, you can put as much money as you want to into road improvements, and if we can't find a way to spend it, you can move it back out and fund something else later. Because it's all a crapshoot at this point, we're basing it off of rough estimates,
Yeah.
we're not gonna know how much money we're
Right.
spending until the bids come in.
Exactly. It could be even over that 100, we don't know that.
I mean, you could,
Given the price, it might be higher, like Scott said, but when materials and all, it could be higher. And this project's been put on hold for how many years?
So you could make the, I think the point is though that you would wanna make the First Street project bigger rather than introduce a second area because you would be able
Right.
to only do
If you
so
were gonna-
little work
yeah.
in that area that it wouldn't
Right.
have an impact.
But then again, like you said, you don't know how much you would get out of that 30,000. If you're gonna only go
I think it makes
like an
sense,
extra,
I think it makes sense to do, if you're gonna do more than roadway, to do more in your major project.
right? So realistically, it's better for now just to let it as it
There's,
is.
there's a wild question for you, Charlie, on First Street.
But
It's just,
The upper side of the wall and the lower side, or do
Yeah.
we only own the lower side?
you
That's like-
have responsibility for maintaining the entire roadway of First
Yeah.
Street is my understanding.
Okay, do we
Yeah.
worry about the upper side of the wall since we have no residents living up there? And just worry about the lower side of the wall?
And then stretch it out,
That's gonna save you,
then stretch it out maybe to Spruce or Pine.
because that's 2 blocks.
yeah, that would stretch it out. And take it all the way up to Spruce Line. Then you might be able to get more out of your, like you said.
Absolutely.
That'd be the
Up
only
to
way you're gonna
Spruce
get.
and Pine.
Yep.
Now,
Because it's
that
gonna
would
be
be-
narrow, it's gonna be a
Yeah.
narrower
Yes,
2 blocks.
yes, he's correct here. That'd be about the only way you get any more, better bang for your dollar.
okay, so I just need, this is gonna,
Okay.
full disclosure, this is gonna be a very frustrating comment, but unfortunately I have to make it because it's the rule that applies here. If Spruce and Pine takes you into another block group,
Mm-hmm,
then,
we can.
and that block group is not LMI.
You know what?
But still, if you save on those
I
2
know.
blocks and put it with whatever you keep back,
You'd still get it.
you might get somewhere else.
Who would you like me to work with
Kevin.
to see,
Get with Kevin.
are
Because
you
I-
comfortable with giving me an amount and I work with Kevin to
Yes.
see how the city gets the most bang for its buck?
Yes.
What's the street name?
Right now, I did a rough estimate of just, oh, hang on, I have too many papers.
139,
139.
Yes.
Well, let's say 140,
Yeah,
they get 170.
you can keep track of my math.
So if you make it 170
And look.
and you cut out
Give him something.
basically 2 blocks on that upper
Yeah.
side,
And see,
Or however we can do it.
yeah, which
that
you
that original number of 140 might go down to about 120.
might be able to cut it down.
And then you'll have,
20,000.
just for argument's sake, I'm just saying, you may have 50,000 to spend on another street where it's
Hang on a
bad,
second.
that you got, you can make a quick repair.
I just realized that I have, the LMI map with me. I forgot I brought it. So, let me just get my bearings. Bunker Hill,
Okay.
what streets are you talking in Bunker
Oh,
Hill?
Shamokin Street. It's a mess. Any of them, Shamokin Street's terrible.
700 to 1000 over.
Are
Yeah.
any of them?
They're terrible. I mean, Franklin Street.
Well,
Pearl Street.
Shamokin Street
Shamokin
goes
Street
through
is
3
probably one of
different
the
block
main-
groups.
Oh, yeah.
That block one goes from
Surprise.
North Rock all the way over
Yeah.
to Clay, so that's pretty much right there. Got it. Is that where we're at?
Sure.
We're up here,
Different block.
we would be up.
Now, it might be
we'd up
easier to
here,
just let Kevin
camera pack.
make the
I got you.
choice.
Yeah.
But I
Yeah.
did realize that I had this, so I wanted to give it to you.
Let's get with Kevin. Let him pick it
Right off.
I mean,
Right, yeah, lumber already up there.
No, no, no.
Under 50.
Has to be
Great.
Has to
I
be over.
don't wanna,
No, that's what the city is.
oh my God. Well,
For it to be considered LMI, has to be under what
There's a lot of them at 31%, 33%.
Linda, for
There's,
something to qualify as LMI, it has to be under what percentage?
yeah,
51%.
Right,
Has
so
to be
they
under.
they qualify. So right now, this
No, this
area,
is saying only 31% of the people on Bunker Hill.
yeah, East Packer Street,
It has to be over.
East Packer Street, East Cameron,
that's what
John.
I was asking.
51%.
Yeah, so you
Or
can't
more.
They're
touch
about the
Bunker
only
Hill
ones.
anywhere.
You know what,
can't
Linda?
touch
Let's let
anything.
Kevin, yeah, let Kevin get together with you instead of us. Yeah. I am.
Yeah.
I'm gonna take the most we can.
Okay,
You'll get
so,
with Kevin and see what you can come up with.
So
How's that?
you're saying you wanna put 170 into First Street reconstruction, or street reconstruction,
Yeah.
construction. 78,900 into demolition.
Mhm.
How much do you wanna put into code enforcement?
5.
Five.
Keep it 5.
And with the understanding that if it doesn't get passed, then I'll just put it into streets.
Yeah.
And then whatever's left,
Give it to the
put into the garden,
And give it to her. Yeah,
okay? Is that what you want?
that's what I would say.
Well, let's,
You know, Charlie, I'm looking at this map.
Yeah.
You're only getting 2 blocks.
Yeah.
Of First Street. Maybe 3,
Yeah.
I'm looking at the map wrong, but you're only getting 2 or 3 blocks.
yeah,
Which is only gonna take you to Arch Street,
I'll go on this one.
I'm gonna,
because you jump into the next block group, block group 2 is only 45.03%.
this is what I'll do, and Charlie, if you wanna,
Yeah.
I'll have you.
But amazingly
something
enough, you could-
thing too.
Market, Diamonds, Adams,
All of them are qualified. I mean,
3rd, 6th.
As long as you know-
Charlie, what about, and Bear Valley Avenue qualifies by far.
mhm.
What about paving that section of Adams Street that we've basically left
That one block.
nature?
The one block,
Yeah.
I brought that up before.
Yeah.
Remember where it's washing away?
Yeah, we could do that.
Because we can't get vehicle traffic.
We could do that. That street's available.
What's that?
Adams Street.
It's out of.
Use them
It's like, it's one block.
You actually have to rebuild it.
Yeah, they'd have to rebuild it. That's
Well,
what's
if,
It still would be,
all they should have to do is mill it down.
Yep.
And base and top.
because it's washed out.
It's not a high traffic street.
But if you can, and you
That
can,
definitely qualifies, for sure, up
you
there.
know, if you do it when you do First Street, then you're saving mobilization money,
Yes,
and they're
right,
already
yes.
here, and you
Right.
get
Why
back
do you do
on
that?
your boat.
Good, yeah, put that,
What,
there, and that could tie into it. There you
So
go.
what
It's
I'll
tough
do
with the
is
map,
I
you
will
can't
get
see where
with,
the side streets are.
I'll get with Charlie
And,
and Kevin.
Get with Kevin.
We'll meet, or, you know, we can meet, or just Kevin.
Yep.
And, I will show him
That's a good street.
the,
Get that done.
this LMI map and see what else he thinks he might
Like
want
I,
to do.
like I said,
That would
it's
fit.
just me looking at it.
No,
You're only gonna get the
Okay.
block of the playground,
Okay.
the block going up to the woods, like from the playground up to the woods, and
Whatever
then
we
the
can get.
next block, the arch, from what I'm seeing on that map.
Whatever we can get for the amount, and then whatever's
And
left
then,
for
but the other thing that happens is,
the, just let's
so
for the goal.
when we put a one block in,
Mhm.
I have a hard time saying that one block serves the entire block. I have to make a case that it's
So want me
serving,
to send you pictures of it?
well, no, I just, that's the case
Oh,
I'm
yeah.
gonna have to.
No road left.
Linda,
No, it doesn't
Listen,
matter how bad the road is, it has
seriously.
to,
do the best you can with what we can work.
Yeah, that's
And
all.
whatever's left, put it, I'm fine with that, I'm fine.
I have a lot of faith in Kevin, the guy who just.
Yeah.
yeah,
but
let's
get-
just
get
do
with
that,
Kevin.
because,
Get with Kevin, work it out, whatever you can do. If there's 10, then put it towards your garden. I have no objection to that. I was just looking,
no,
you know, to benefit everybody in the city.
don't
That's, you know,
apologize, you're great,
Okay.
when I was talking to you, I was just wanting to make you
That's fine.
understand that
I
no
understand.
matter how horrible it
It's just,
is,
it's
it's hard to accept, but we're bound by those regulations.
yeah.
If you use
It's a
CBD
shame. We get with Kevin, whatever we can get for our money, we'll take it. How's that? That's just the way I feel.
Sounds good.
And then whatever's left over, garden people can have, I have no objection to it. I mean, I'm not being rude. I just,
No, but Charlie, like I said,
yeah, I gave up quite a
We
bit.
have taken away from
Yes,
streets,
the
and you've been good enough to give to us for the pocket park and everything else over the last couple of years.
I think we should.
It's time to put a little bit of extra money back into the streets to compensate for what
Yeah.
we've whacked over the last couple.
I agree.
And then just one last question, you do understand that with the $5,000 going into code enforcement, you are gonna need to have one of your employees, tracking the number of code tickets written, the number of
Okay.
Reddit properties per month, the number of demolitions, CDBG and otherwise, and housing rehabs in the city.
We happen to have a computer expert now working on
Yeah.
tracking things where it's a little better. So
Okay.
it may become a little bit easier than what it was in the past.
Okay, as long as you know that that's part of that. Alrighty,
Do it that way. That way everybody will be.
that's all I
Then
have.
everybody gets a piece of the pie. How's that? Okay.
Sorry, that was,
Everybody's gonna get something.
We need this back.
I didn't mean to hold this up.
Mine is way easier. Are you done with?
Oh, wait a minute, I cut your time, I'm sorry. Go ahead, I'm sorry.
No, no, no.
Wow, this is sorry.
There's
I'm
nothing,
good.
there's no free money, so it's very difficult.
That's a shame.
So first off, sad news, the Coal Kraken Crab Fest has been canceled for Geisinger Shamokin this year
Oh, jeez.
due to COVID. So postponed till next year. The hydrologic and hydraulic H&H studies moving right along. That should be done by February of 2022. At that time, we're gonna be starting on your comp plan and then your zoning book rewrite. Right now, we're working on putting together an RFP so we can send it out within the next month or so to actually get somebody on board to start working on that. October, during your workshop meeting in October, is it okay if CEDACOG comes to that meeting to discuss your ARPA funds? Is that an okay time?
October workshop.
Uh-huh.
You'll have to remember to put it on the agenda for the rest of it. Otherwise, we can discuss.
Right. Let's see.
When's that?
I'm sure you all know that your 99 steps are now open, so
92.
huge kudos to everybody that worked on that project. And then next up is the fountain at Clock Taylor 2. EPA Brownfield grant starts in October of this year. AOAA rail trail project moving right along. There will be a public input period. They're looking at probably setting up maybe a BAMSI for the Shamokin area. As soon as I have a date for that, I will let you know. Downtown security cameras will be happening before the end of the year. I think those are my main updates right now. I will not be at the meeting on Monday. The Kramers are going on vacation to Florida. Again, 2 years ago. We're always going, huh? I think
Will,
This time.
will there be a stand-in for you at the meeting or just a vacant spot?
I think Aaron will be here at the meeting. He'll be at the meeting.
I will too.
Well, yeah, but
Both of us will be.
yeah.
Wait, how are you gonna get to go to Florida? Jeez.
I know.
I'll never go to
Dancing all over
Florida.
the world.
I spent all my vacation time this year already, so.
Oh, also with the illumination station, I know it did say in the newspaper that it's being, what was the word? Like riddled with, not riddled, I forget, but it was not a good
Red
term.
tape, come on. Say
Yeah.
something of bureaucracy.
It wasn't good, but it was still a little disparaging. I promise you, we're still moving forward. We
Yeah.
still are on the same timeline. I know the buildings are still there. That's not affecting our end result at all. A lot of work is being done behind the scenes. There's a steering committee. Sean Garrigan, who's working on the planning of it, has been working with Linda, an engineer. So I assure you, the project's still moving forward, even though the buildings are there.
We've got it.
So, no worries. Any questions? All right, thank you.
Can I go home now?
Does anybody have anything
No.
else for the CEDACOG?
Poor Liz.
I'm not upset at all. This is my job. I just feel badly that the regulations are so hard to understand and frustrating, but
That's fine. That's fine.
I gotta.
Okay.
But it's why,
Well, my question was answered by looking at that map, 'cause that's what I wanted to find out. That was my whole.
Looks like you might be able to pay for your street by Tiffany's.
Well, now that's all right. Yeah, go ahead, keep that with it.
CEDACOG portion is over. Bob, do we have any bids? Correspondence, sir.
Yes, sir.
Bye, everybody.
Bye.
1, 2, 3.
Oh,
I think there's one. We'll start. I've received a request for event form for the Halloween parade here in the city. This comes to me from Sabre, which the Sabre is requesting permission to host the annual Halloween parade. on the evening of 10/26, rain date 10/27. They will work with city personnel and the chief of police in organizing the event if approved. The route, the event will be similar to those in the past years. You'll recall, to those of you who have been here for past parades, it was done, sponsored by
Bank.
F&B Bank, I guess it was, F&B Bank, and assisted by the news item. Anyone having an objection, if not, I'll put this on the agenda for Monday. I also have another request. This one comes from the Honorable John Brown, in regards to, the pep rally. The celebration after the Halloween parade, which in the past, the parade ends down in the, parking lot on Independence Street. With that said, no one
Who signed
comes
that?
yet. Pardon me?
Who signed that?
Some honorable.
Yeah.
The reason for it is I submitted it because they are two clearly separate events.
That's correct.
Yeah,
So I.
because you're gonna need,
And they want, I know they want to have the pep rally again, and nobody submitted the form, so I filled it out today.
okay,
Bob, when you're finished, can you pass those back so I can,
Sure,
thank you.
sure.
I'm just-
That's the proper thing to do.
I was gonna ask you, what are you
Everything
gonna do
gets
with it?
second guessed.
Because you're right, they're gonna need another,
Yes.
And you gotta document it.
them forms are looking
And that's,
Oh, yeah.
that, I
better,
just,
much better.
I certainly did want to have somebody go, well, look, certain groups don't have to fill the forms out, so I filled it out myself.
John Brown's pepper out.
I also received correspondence that's shared with us, that has to do with the Shamokin Township Joint Sewer Authority. It comes from the Honorable John Gordner, Senator of the 27th District. He shared with us this letter that he sent to Thomas Hughes, who is the state hazard mitigation officer. And it reads, "Dear Mr. Hughes, I write in support of the recent grant application submitted by Shamokin Township Joint Sewer Authority. The Sewer Authority provides sanitary sewer service through their collection and conveyance system and wastewater treatment at their facility for the residents of the city of Shamokin and Cole Township. The authority is seeking grant funding due to heavy rain event that occurred on July 22nd. This says July 22nd, 2018, resulting in significant flooding at their treatment plant. The flooding caused treated wastewater to back up into the plant, causing flooding in their ultraviolet building. As a result, the disinfection pods, transformers, and other electronic devices were destroyed. The authority is requesting $790,000. So basically, the senator is just sharing this, what he's trying to do for something that will benefit the residents here. I've also received this one comes from the owner of Covered Bridge Brew House. This was received September 7th. It's addressed to the mayor and Shamokin Council, to whom it may concern. With 2 events left on 8th Street, I would like to request for the council to consider approval for next year events on 8th Street. To be able to get quality and diverse entertainment, we have to book a year ahead. These are the dates for 2022 that we would like to get approval for. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. He has 8 dates. They run
Without
one
having,
per month from March to October.
without having a calendar in front of you, I still shoot for the last Saturday of every month, so you don't have to read every.
Yeah.
Okay.
Or yes, or I don't know.
So in other words, from March to October.
No, Mayor.
Yeah, it's one a month, so I would assume.
It's the last
The first one's March 13th. That's
Oh,
not the end
okay.
of the month.
Switch
There's
it.
another one that
Yes,
was
St. Patty's.
St. Patty's Day, that's right.
Now, I have a question for clarification, Bob. Last year, when we approved their events for the last Saturday of the month, we did it on a trial basis and then we extended it, and because it was done that way and it occurred prior to the event form going into use, that form wasn't filled out. Does the form have to be filled out, even if it includes all the dates? There should be one form with all those dates listed so that it's the same for everybody. And I can reach out to them and take care of that.
Yeah, you should have.
And then also it would take us transcribing what's there on.
Yeah.
But somebody's gotta sign us, and I can even do that and get a signature. Okay.
Yes, that would help. Okay,
Can you lump them by Monday?
Melissa.
I can give it to you.
Does he go back to the regular dates then after the bash for?
Does it look like it lines up with the
Yeah.
last Saturday of the month other than St.
Yeah.
Patty's Day?
Yeah.
Well, Mayor,
Go
let's see, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5.
You probably switched to May again, so.
There's 8 dates on here, and it looks like 6 of them, I would have to say, are going to end up the very last weekend of
Okay.
the month.
You probably have to switch the ones that are conflicting with other events.
2 of them is March 13th and May 21st.
The ones
May
that- the Heritage
21st.
The May one is so it doesn't interfere with
Yeah.
the Heritage Festival.
That's,
So,
Yeah.
That's
being released.
Pass it back.
And then Mayor, I will say though, he does an excellent job. Seriously, cleaning up and everything. And I don't know about the chief's end of it, but as far as I know, there's been no complaints.
The next one I have is, and we've gotten these in the past, and I have to go back and check, I'm pretty sure we've gotten this in the past. This comes from Brookside Ministries Church. And it's addressed to the, it reads, Brookside Ministries Church, he covers the ministry group, is requesting permission to distribute new and gentle
He meant gently used.
blankets
Yeah.
and hot homemade turkey corn soup in Shamokin, Pennsylvania on September 11, 2021. Distribution time would be from 10:30 a.m. to 2 p.m. or while supplies last, not including setup and tear down time. The location we are requesting is near your post office in Shamokin. So we have chosen Shamokin as we believe God would want us to reach out to offer people spiritual hope and are offering help to those who are in need of blankets and a hot meal. All used items have been thoroughly inspected and cleaned. If you have any questions, please contact me, Jerry Hellman, who is a senior minister.
September 11th. That's dated this Saturday.
Yes, sir. This came on August 27th. We would have discussed this last Monday if we were here in the raindrops.
Still not enough time.
And not only that, isn't there,
There's already events.
9/11.
there's already an event planned.
Isn't that
That's
at 8 or 9 a.m.?
Again. These are all.
But it still wouldn't have been in the time for the
Exactly.
council meeting,
Exactly.
because it's this Saturday.
I-
Our meetings.
Okay, though,
Right.
even though, no, wait a minute, even though we switched the meeting, that don't qualify under 30 days.
No, it wasn't, Charlie. I'm just,
The only thing that changed
You
in the
have to-
workshop,
you
the
have to
regular
read
council
it.
meeting didn't change.
Exactly.
next time I'll put it in my mailbox. I've also.
Wait,
We can't, we can't.
no, I was talking to you.
No,
Sorry.
as Scott's saying, there's already activities in that area.
Yeah, it's,
I mean, at what time do they wanna do it?
11.
11 to 2, so.
Well, it's a very nice gesture.
So it is.
That
10:30 to 2.
10:30 to 2.
And when's the walk? 8? I think, yeah,
We
we're
meet
here at
at
8,
It's
right?
like 8 to noon or
This
so.
is 10 a.m. to 2 p.m.
How long?
Yeah.
It's 4 hours there and go where?
Yeah.
You're not walking the entire.
Yeah. That's not gonna be.
Most of the time you'll be standing in line.
Hey, you understand, nice.
Okay, you're right.
It's just, I hate to say no to something like that, they're giving away,
What?
but can we send something back to them that at least says, we have other events
No, I'll
planned, would they
personally-
consider an
I'll personally
alternate?
call-
Damn.
No, I'll personally
Anything from the 27th of September forward, because it's 30 days notice.
And talk to him, yeah, and I'll talk to him.
And we couldn't vote it either tonight.
Or if they just wanted to, build a big spot, so we have no say.
No, I'll take care of this. Let's see. I have one more correspondence, and this is in regards to a personnel matter here in the city. I received on August 20th, the resignation of Robert Forsyth Jr.
I was gonna put that under
Executive session.
executive session. Frank, is that, can you do it now? Okay.
I mean,
All right.
you're not taking any action. It's a piece of correspondence that
All right.
I'm telling you,
Okay.
and we can go to executive
All right.
session and talk
Okay.
about it.
Go ahead. Frank said it. Go ahead.
He hung it up on August 20th. He said he quit.
Is that fair?
Yeah.
All right, John, remind me.
That's it, sir.
Thank you, sir. Anybody with new business?
There was one other piece of correspondence. I can save it for my part, or I can read it now. It's a letter that was addressed to all of city council. I don't know.
Go ahead, read
Okay.
it.
Different voice.
So this letter,
I mean, that was
I think we're all getting tired.
okay, so this is an issue that came
Never
up
mind.
during a city council meeting, and a response was sent from somebody who saw our council meeting online. It's from the Central Susquehanna Valley Board of Realtors based in Danville. It's dated August 11th, and it's addressed to Mayor and all of City Council. Dear Mayor Brown, rental property owners offer a much-needed service to the city of Shamokin by providing housing to citizens who, either by choice or other circumstances, may not want to or be able to purchase a home. The Central Susquehanna Valley Board of Realtors opposes rental property regulations that subject property owners to onerous governmental inspection, registration, or licensure requirements. During a recent council meeting, Shamokin officials heard testimony from an individual highlighting the benefits of additional rental property inspections. Although this individual is a real estate professional, his personal views do not reflect CSVBR's policies on this issue, nor is he authorized to speak on behalf of CSVBR. CSVBR firmly believes that rental property owners who do not maintain their property in accordance with existing regulations should be held accountable to the fullest extent of the law, just as owner-occupied homeowners should be held accountable to existing regulations that apply to their properties. CSVBR would welcome continued dialogue with city to discuss this issue further or address any questions. Sincerely, Angela Young, President of Susquehanna Valley Board of Realtors. So,
Thank you.
No action necessary.
but they were not able to come to the meeting, so.
Okay. Well, thank you. How far did we get? Got any new business? Any new business? Anybody with old business needs to be discussed? All right, CDBG
Yes.
statement.
Whatever came of DCED with recreation? Whatever came of DCED with using recreation?
Oh, for the steps?
Yes.
I think their opinion was let your solicitor decide, right?
That's correct. And I did share with Frank. Under the third class city code, you as council pay the bills. That's at your discretion, how you properly dispense with taxpayers' money. No place in the third class city code does it prohibit you from doing it. Therefore, I put it on the agenda last month. It was voted on unanimously, and it passed.
Okay, I'm just asking where that went.
No, I think the question on the table too was, where do the steps fall, under recreation or under street? And the ruling was made that they've always been classified as recreation.
Because they walk.
Yes.
That's what they told us.
It's not, you can't put a vehicle on it, so it falls under.
That's why they said it fell under recreation.
Right. Not specifically those steps, all steps.
All the steps in the city. Yes. They said nothing motorized
So
could be
what, there's
used on it.
7 more sets of steps that vary from
Ooh.
a couple to, I don't know how
Some are
many.
buried in rubbish.
Whatever.
Some are buried. Let me tell you. Good time.
That's all I have. Okay. CDBG, we did. Controller, sir.
Quickly, I do not have the reconciliation done for payroll yet, but there's one more download to come down, and I'll have that ready for Monday. Looking at the account balances, they are all correct, which is my job to make sure they are. Thank you, Linda and Barbara. So I have nothing for the agenda, and thanks for
Oh, we do have old business, I'm sorry. The ordinance. The trailer, commercial vehicle and recreational vehicle ordinance, the first draft is ready.
Yeah, that's dragging for about 3 months right now.
It's done, it's ready to be read. So there are copies here for council and the solicitor to look over. It's basically all the stuff that we had talked about in the past, adding to it, where to pull the information from. So if everybody wants to take a look at it.
Ordinance on large vehicles, so.
There, I only had, because I did it right before, so there are like
Just a few
I
copies.
think she beat me to it.
And the other, we have other old business. The gateway ordinance passed last month at the second reading. However, the designations need to be set by resolution, and the map needs to be set by resolution according to the ordinance that we passed. So I have copies of both the designation and the map for the solicitor to be passed as resolutions on Monday.
Agenda item.
Yes,
I'm assuming you're doing the notes, right?
yeah,
Agenda item.
yeah. That would go under solicitor's report, right, Attorney Kanaka? The 2 resolutions that have to be read?
That'll be at Monday, right?
Yes.
Yes. As long as I have them, I'll do that.
No, the central business district where they
Yeah, I just read
divided
it.
the town.
No, okay, I'm sorry.
Okay, now I think, just with the old business, I'll be back to me.
Gee, yes. It's your time to shine.
Real quick, couple things. I have to order new abandoned vehicle stickers. I was on with the company and I'm in the process of redoing them. And the reason I'm redoing them is to change the wording a little bit. Because the way the wording is right now, it doesn't coincide with our enforcement of it. Officer Bischoff still at it with his abandoned vehicles. He did 22 abandoned vehicles in the month of August. The vehicles on Pine Street were towed today, following everything being returned to us letter-wise. Month of August, we did 855 calls, 4,029 miles patrolled, 237 sweeper tickets, 23 code tickets, 25 criminal arrests, 33 traffic citations, 7 non-traffic citations, 36 parking citations, and 12 warnings. Also, since our last meeting, I believe, if not 2 every other day, our guys have picked up wanted persons that were wanted on some stuff. They've been doing really good with interacting and grabbing the wanted people. We had a problem down on Rock by the pool with abandoned vehicles. They were on here, they were tugged. The problem we're running into is these vehicles are owned by people not even inside the truck. So in order for us to legally tow them, we have to go by who the owner of the vehicle is. However, Tyler asked me if it would be okay. He met with a gentleman who it appears has these vehicles. Apparently his trailer is broke. He was issued 1 week and they're gonna be removed from the side street and also as well as Rock in our parking lot. On Race Street off of Rock next to the pool, they have been tugged and their certified mail is to go out on Monday for those vehicles. 4 got moved. I think there's like 4 left that are gonna have to be towed out of there. The other thing I just wanted to go over with you is real quick. This is our data sheet from the 911 center for our calls that were dispatched to. This is the month of August. We have 30 pages with 26 incidents on each page.
Oh my God.
This don't always reflect our calls. Because on this sheet, this is listing our vehicle stops, our wanted persons, our interaction with stopping pedestrians on the street, the whole 9 yards. Had an incident last night. 2 of my officers encountered a male who was wanted. The guy attempted to flee. They had a full pursuit. He ended up finding both of them. So he's in jail, minor injuries on both officers, and we took care of that on our end. I just want to throw this because I know you are all aware of it, but I just want you to paint this picture because it caught my eye. August 31st, okay? 9:29 domestic. 9:29 medical emergency unconscious person. 9:27 holding a vandalism. 9:47 person urinating in public. 9:40 holding a phone call request. 9:42 medical emergency. 9:49 medical emergency. 9:58 out with person. 10:02 accident. 10:04 holding another phone call. 10:18 medical emergency. That was
5 minutes.
an hour.
How many
And
incidents?
How many was that? Just that 40,
12.
13? 13?
16 incidents.
Right,
That's,
Yes,
that's,
medical emergency,
yes.
that's when a bus is on site.
what? No. No.
Medical emergency.
Or
is
if somebody's
dispatched.
at a heart
They could be
attack
anybody.
or-
They get
Anything.
dispatched at the same time as the ambulance.
They get
And
dispatched.
there's a lot of times with the
They were
urgent
first.
manpower that the ambulances are coming from Danville,
Yeah.
London. all
Stillings
over.
Grove last week for me.
Oh, God.
Yeah.
So having the police department go to a medical emergency, especially with a few of them being qualified EMTs, is
Could
a
save
big
life.
thing right now because we don't have the manpower in the ambulance service either. They're chasing all over again.
And with us, no matter how busy we are, if there's a medical call, the guys know at least one car there. And that's just because we don't know what to expect anymore.
Sure.
Depending on what the call is, we'll all go, the whole 9 yards because all our guys just got recertified at CPR with their AEDs. They're carrying them
Not that the
and
medical calls aren't important, but if you're on call of some other sort besides medical, that naturally that's a strain on people.
we're on a domestic, we get a call for a nosebleed. If we clear it before the ambulance gets there, okay, we'll go over and check on it. We're on a call for domestic, we get a call for an unconscious person, one guy's leaving and going to it. Because quite frankly, we're beating the ambulance by 35 minutes.
Wow.
Okay, we've had patients in town already where we were ready for an ambulance to come out of Danville, and it was very close that I gave them the okay to put the person in quarantine. And that's where we're at.
Did I hear you say came from Stillings Grove?
Yeah, last week.
Wow.
Yeah. So I wanted to throw it out for you because a lot of times people look at the calls for the month and they go, wow. But when you are sitting and you're getting hit with call after call after call. Now we have to remember something. This doesn't include our calls into the station. They're not logged.
Thank you. Oh my God.
So when people call the station to speak to an officer, we're dealing with that. And we don't, them calls aren't logged, 911, nothing, because they're received directly to us. We take the phone to the station. That can be anything from complaints, break-ins, investigations, information requests, whatever. So I wanted to do that to just enlighten everybody a little
16
bit.
Well,
calls,
then
42
everyone
minutes.
should understand why the police can't come
Um,
for
and
certain
that-
things.
It hasn't been bad, with the complaints. believe it or not, a lot of the people are seeing me, if I'm out and about, they're telling me they understand what we're going through, type of deal. And you get the one or two, I explained to the mayor, I had an incident on 7th Street, a gentleman who screamed at the girls in the office, was losing his mind. I was on the phone with him for 40 minutes, and he was mad because a vehicle doing work on his street parked in front of his home, and he didn't think it was right.
Oh my God.
However, I had to be on the phone with him for 40 minutes because Facebook and this and that.
Yeah.
I'd rather talk to someone, explain the situation, why, and get a resolution with it,
Yeah.
compared to this nonsense with, I talked to the police, they did nothing. That's wrong. You may have talked to the police, and there may have been nothing we could do. Too many crime shows on TV, too much YouTube, too much Google. It doesn't work that way in the real world. So at least doing that, we're nipping it in the bud. I just applied through the Sheriff's Association. I put in to request another shield. That's about $5,800, and I'm looking at getting one donated. We currently have 2 now. We absolutely need a 3rd one. Also, I looked at some money that we had, and I was able to talk to a company. I ordered 2 additional sets of spike strips for the police cars. We normally had 6 sets, we're down to 2, and that's from using them and replacing them, and they're just getting old. I talked to the company, and basically I got them for half price. Because we were a new business owner, I explained the situation we're in, the size of our department has stuff to do with it, so they should be delivered next week. Also, if you remember, we applied for the grant, we got the new patrol rifles. Okay, they're all in service. Officer Fleming, being military, he got everything mounted on them, good to go. They're going to be in patrol vehicles soon, so that's accomplished with that task, and that's it.
Good job.
And again, the guys, no bitches from anybody. They're just moving along.
You're doing a good job.
That's good news.
They're moving along. I don't hear nothing from.
Good.
Good.
I haven't heard one complaint.
Keep your statistics for 16 calls in less than an hour for Monday, I'll make it along.
I'm gonna post
Speech
that on.
impediment.
And also,
Because I see if you don't mind.
the testing process is open now as far as applications go. I think at a later date we can discuss that. Because I have some concerns. I got the police commission book.
There needs to be discussion on that subject with you and him.
Yeah, I got the police commission book and I overlooked some stuff
Everybody in general.
looking at it.
I don't think we've advertised yet, although we've started taking applications. I don't think we've advertised yet. But we always take applications.
Are
I
we,
don't want to do it without your blessing, his blessing, and the
Are we testing Act 120 qualified only, Act 120 non-qualified, are we sending to school? What is your wishes?
I think this point you have to go Act 120.
we're gonna get no one. Just talked to 4 chiefs of police that did an Act 120 only test. They had 1 applicant, he failed back. The problem is cops are locked in their position where they're at now. They don't want to leave, transfer to another department. Another thing that hurts us is some departments are on the same pension plan. So you can work one department for 10 years, and if you're sick of it, go to another department,
You get it.
and they'll combine your other 10 and give you your 20 out of that department because they're on the same pension plan. We're not. I was on a website with chiefs of police because I brought up this question. Is it feasible to send people to school? Timelines, this and that. One of the chiefs replied to me and said, I just tested for Act 120 applicants only and I received 1. I checked it out, and now these are big departments. These are departments that are hiring 25 guys at a time, 10 guys at a time. One chief sent me back a message, and the message was, and this is police terms, I'd rather see someone get hired, sent, and trained for your department instead of picking someone up from another department for whatever reason no longer wants to be there after 5 years.
Just on mine, I'm an advocate of higher incentive to school. I think you get better quality policemen that way. I can say that because I'm a product of get hired and be sent to school. That's the only way I became a policeman, was the city of Shamokin hired me, paid for me to go to school, and I stayed here, and here I am now.
Paying for it ever since.
On the other side of things, if we can't send anybody to school until January, what's the hurry to test in October? Now, do we keep taking applications until November and test in November? And this is why I specifically want to talk to y'all. It's what do you do?
If I can, Mayor, one thing is with the January's class that's coming up, they have to be entered and submitted by the last week of October to get into the January class, because they have their entrance exams and their MMPI testing and everything else and their physicals to get in. So normally the January class, they have to be submitted and every paperwork in by first week of November if they're attending.
And how soon do you get an officer anyway? Because they're going to school in January, you're gonna get with the next summer, correct? July.
But realistically, they won't be on their own until
Probably.
October of next year.
Yeah, so you're looking almost a whole year away.
That's if they go in January.
And the
Yeah.
problem is, even if we hire someone who's an officer already, yeah, we're gonna cut 6 months off that. Because you're talking coming into our department, learning our policies and procedures and how we patrol. Because people, Shamokin is unique
Yeah, it is.
in the way we patrol compared to other municipalities. I mean, it's just the way it is. And me and our new FTO, I won't sign up on someone who's not ready to deal with some of the people we deal with, because you're just asking for trouble.
So how long typically does someone go with the FTO?
Our FTO policy is when you're hired, you are in the FTO's car for your first 3 months, you ride with him. Your second 3 months, you're in your own car on his shift. And then for the next 6 months, you are in a car, but you have to be with a senior guy, which right now I don't have it.
I was just gonna say,
So 6 months, they're gonna be in another car, but during that time period, they are still being evaluated by their FTO. Because you're coming up on your 1 year probation, that's all included in our FTO, so they may be in a car in October by themselves and do something, violate policy, where then immediately their FTO steps in. Now that can result in 2 things. If they have to go to remedial training, they're back in an FTO car. If it's something that could be addressed prior to, it's addressed and we move on with life. And again, that's the quality of officers we're kicking out because of our program.
they get that for. I mean, you're talking,
You can't.
pretty, I mean,
No,
you
no,
only
no.
have 6 men now, you're talking 9 to 12 months, chief.
And again,
You're
we
going
have,
to another summer,
And
basically.
Charlie, that's why I was saying about Act 120.
Yeah,
I mean, we could do like we did before and advertise
see what,
120 and non.
yeah,
and I think the way we wrote the article when I spoke to Doreen was, we're accepting applications for the position of police officer, number 1. And number 2, non-Act 120, Act 120 is welcome, Act 120 is preferred.
right.
And that's how we have it worded in there.
So the difference is, if you did an Act 120 only test,
Right. then
you could
right.
lower your physical agility standards by doing non-Act 120.
Right,
You
to
gotta
keep them
keep
where
the
they're
standards where they're at, or they're not gonna make it in the academy.
And it's very hard to get them through.
And that was the next thing that I've been discussing
And that
on
eliminated
more, was the physical agility portion, because a lot of people now, instead of having 4 set things, they're doing it in brackets. So you have to do 5 physical agilities, you need to pass 2, you have to do 5 physical agilities, you need to pass 2, you have to do 5. Because what they're saying is, if someone has a weak point, they're not being disqualified over that weak point because they're overcompensating with something else.
They fail the academy.
However, they have to be prepared for the academy.
Which,
There's no sense of
just
hiring
my,
somebody
just
who's
my
not-
opinion of them physical agility tests.
I said, there's
No.
sense of.
That would be.
How many do you take after you're out of the academy? How
That'd
many
be
have you taken?
Yes.
But if we have somebody that's 120, they still have to take, even though they made it through the academy.
even
Yes.
though they've taken it entrance and took it graduate.
They're not
But
knocking down the doors to come here.
Are our
So
departments,
You know,
are our department standards different than the academy?
Our department standards are the graduation portion of the academy standards for our physical agility.
So it's the same.
Now, the entrance is different, of course, because the
Right.
academy bases that, they will build you up to get to that point of where you're at. Right now, like I said, as far as applicants, we have people that show interest, but
And that stuff is set by the civil service.
yes. And the second part of it is you have people that want to come here. And the problem I'm running into is because everyone has this illusion in their mind that next year we're not gonna have a police department. And that's the whole, that's one of the major problems we're encountering. Is that.
We knew that was
Well,
coming.
that's not true.
Yeah, it's,
So
there's no way to
I'm
say
doing what I
police handle these
can.
calls.
Again, I talked to Mr. Slavy, get it out to the academies. I spoke to Reading, they're more than willing to put it on their website that we're hiring and testing. I just spoke to a gentleman from Lackawanna. He gave me a number I have to call to see if they do the same for me, because they have the Hazleton and the Spring campus. To see if we can do the both. Now, there is one or two people in Cadet Temple's class that have shown interest to the area. So I may, in the future, reach out to those people and maybe take a trip and go speak with them one-on-one.
And they're scheduled to
They'll be
graduate in
graduating
December.
Cadet Temple, yeah,
Ooh, that'd fit in for you.
they'll be graduating.
That would at least give you.
If you come up tomorrow, we'll deal with
I mean, that-
advertising.
That still puts you a year out with those people. too.
Yeah, because a whole year's, I don't see how. You're gonna definitely have vacations, you know what I mean? Anything.
And the thing about it is, you get someone out of the academy, I mean, who is top notch, ready to go. I mean, really good, progressing through FTO. Yeah, after 3 months, we can alter that. Meaning 3 months, and maybe at the 3-month mark, we'll put him in his own farm. Okay, that will help. That will help us.
It would help ease it a little bit.
But it would help ease it. But the problem is, we still have to understand is, I have a fresh officer right out the gate. And now with that being said, you just heard what I explained, how we're
Mhm.
going on calls by ourselves
Right.
where we shouldn't be going. And you're gonna have him dealing or her dealing with what we have.
So either way, this dilemma is, we're in this dilemma at least next spring.
My whole
Summer.
thing is, I'm
Wait,
here to
look,
say
at
at
the earliest,
least a
at the
very,
earliest.
very 6 months for sure.
That's what I mean,
100% for sure, 6 months,
at least.
we gotta get through this.
And that's being kind. I mean, it could
Yeah,
be worse.
that's being kind.
That's
and
that's a lot of
again,
work
I
for these
can't-
6 guys.
I can't stress
Seriously,
enough, there has been 0 complaints, and I mean that. There has been 0 complaints, these guys have not, I need somebody to work 4 extra hours, I'll do it. I have 0 moment,
And you still have a possibility of a retirement, possibly coming up.
so it's coming.
Okay, so I'm saying, so
One's
we.
definitely coming and one can go at any,
Okay,
one can call me tomorrow and go, I'm done.
so our timetable's even shorter really, because we're gonna be definitely probably losing one there.
And that's why I had mentioned, I know we have spoken of 2 officers. And that's why I have mentioned, if it's this hard and we're doing it now, we should look at the 3.
Mhm.
We're prepared for retirement. And we'll see what happens from there.
There's no way the state police are gonna handle these calls. There's no way, not at the rate they're coming in, no way.
But anyway, so I'm sorry I took up all the time. I wanted to pass it on to you because I can't stress enough what the guys are doing. And listen, when I tell you people, there's only 7 of us now left. The city of Shamokin has a very dedicated to this department. I'm here to tell you that. And I mean that wholeheartedly. These guys are good guys, and soon to have gal. We have a good department. It's something to be proud of. We have a good department.
You know that. You are gonna get tired though, because
Yeah.
the amount of calls coming, are just,
Have we always put it on the agenda?
it's like that.
Just said testing, okay, if you could do it.
Yeah, I think we should get
Please,
that one.
Done that in the past. Someone says, council,
I think we should get it.
seems like we're doing it every 3 months, I'll just pull it off that one.
Yeah.
That wasn't supposed to be flipping, I know it's not that one.
Where we at next? Treasurer.
I'm not sure if I'm going to have my financials done for me. The reason being, I'm still working on them. Yeah, I'm trying. I'm working every day, most days till 5, 6 o'clock instead of 4. I can only do so much. So I'm gonna try my best to have them done for Monday.
They're done, they're done.
Yeah.
I think,
Presented at the next meeting.
um,
Doesn't happen.
thank you.
That's all you could do.
I think what I'm going to need to do is to hire someone temporarily.
Everybody's aware that both of her part-timers are off for an extended period, correct?
Yeah.
I knew Paul.
Yeah.
Paul,
Vicky just went
Paul,
too.
Vicky.
Vicky just went, right? Am I not?
She came back, but
Oh,
she's
she can't
ill again. Yeah. So,
start the process. Start the process of hire.
I,
I mean, it must-
I've had this discussion with Brenda this
Yeah.
morning and yesterday. We have a plan. We'll
Okay.
take care of it.
I do appreciate that. We have to, because I'm getting to,
All right.
I just can't do it all. I'd like to thank you, the chief. The money has been coming up every single week. I am so thrilled with that. And it really helps me too that I don't have to go to the bank. Either do the girls
They're doing
out
everything.
here,
They're just-
because when you bring your money up, I can change my money out because you have all 1s and 5s and 10s, you know? So it saves me sometimes, so I greatly appreciate that. I also need to somehow find a way to get down to help the girls at the police station, if that's okay with all of you.
We discovered a small problem this morning.
Yeah, they were not aware of the payments coming in on our website through PayGov. So someone got a citation and the person brought the citation in with their receipt that they paid on PayGov. So I got in touch with PayGov. I CC'd the chief and Amy. I'm having PayGov send him and her the emails like they did for John. And he's probably still getting them also. Anyhow, I need to go down there and teach them how to use their credit card because they also have to swipe down there. And I need to make them an Excel spreadsheet.
Yes, they did mention that to me this morning. I was there when you were talking.
Okay, Bob had asked me a question about monies that we were putting in neighborhood mitigation fund.
Blight mitigation.
Yes, and that was coming from certain fines from Mr. Demings. So the one check that was sent up, that check, once it clears the bank, I'll be able to transfer that money from there, from the general fund into the neighborhood mitigation fund, which was like $4,300 and some dollars. But I'm glad you brought that up.
Brenda, can you get me a balance on that front?
Yeah, there's $8,333 and some cents in it.
Bob, I'll talk with the chiefs. Can we order another skid of plywood, OSB?
Sure.
Okay, with cheese. Storage facility down here.
And then I'll be having 4,000 more stuff. I have a question for you, yes.
I know you're very busy. I asked the Bob and John, is there any way every month, the five of us, you could tell us where we are with the parking meters? Like how much money we're taking in, just for us five? Because
Wait,
I'll tell you when, I don't have no clue where we're at or where we're going, and so much was budgeted for it.
sure,
So could like, even if you just put like on the bottom of your sheet,
excuse me, I can print out a
okay,
report.
could you do that,
Sure,
if you don't mind?
I don't mind at all. Now,
At one time, we
it
used
doesn't
that.
come all one,
Okay,
every month, it doesn't come every month.
I got you.
The banks have changed the way they do it.
Yes. I
The
understand.
guys will take the
Mhm.
bags down,
Mhm.
and sometimes the deposits don't come back for 2 months.
Okay, really?
Yeah,
Okay.
because
So that
John
money-
will call me and he would say, "Where's this money? Like, you're not giving me."
Maybe we need to send a letter to the bank?
Well, there's a big issue with,
Don't see that.
yeah, Brinks has taken over whoever they were before.
Guardian,
What was it?
Guardian.
Okay, and since Brinks has taken over, it's a nightmare. Now, we do keep track of it. Why you looking at me like
So-
that?
so-
I'm just, it just interests me that a meter clerk's calling you saying, hey Brenda, why don't we have a report of where this money is at?
Yeah, well, your kid was on top of it. Which is good.
Yeah.
You know, cause.
The only reason
No,
why,
it's just time.
the only reason why I'm asking is because so much was budgeted for that, and it'd be nice if the five of us would see, are we near our target, are we behind, you know?
We normally get 95,000 a year from meter money.
I know it's a lot to ask of you, but are we somewhat on track to be?
That's what I'm asking, yes.
Are you on that computer with
I
me
mean,
logged
it
in,
sounds
Jen?
like tonight, John, I just looked at enough.
Oh, I can actually look right now.
Brenda,
That's okay.
for the future, just maybe you can just hear.
Okay, 'cause I
Yeah,
can look
no,
right
no, no,
now.
I'm just curious, it's not.
Yeah, it's normally 95,000
But 2 months it
approximately.
takes to get, that's amazing.
Yes, 2 months.
That's.
And then what I do is, and I was telling Amy this, I will scan in the general fund
Uh-huh.
bank statement,
Uh-huh.
and it doesn't even say meters money. There's a bunch of little zeros. And when I'm reconciling the bank account, at first when it started coming out like that, I'm thinking, what in the world is this? What are all these zeros here?
It makes sense.
And then the money, like it doesn't tell me Queen.
Right,
All it is a number.
Yeah.
just a number.
It's a transaction.
And then
Transaction.
I put,
A
you know, I
transaction.
do one of these
Yeah.
things here and I put the
I
total.
got you.
And then I write right on the bank statement, meters money.
I can't do it.
And then John would tell me, okay, we got this one, and this one, but there's still one missing.
That's
And,
amazing.
and,
You
and
know,
if I may, since you're talking about that, I just want to let everybody know, the girls in the office filed 300 citations from all our tickets, all our sweepers. There was a lapse where they weren't done. So they, over the last month, I believe they did 300 citations that were gonna be sent out.
awesome.
So I just mentioned.
I should give them my copies of my emails.
What's that?
All that one they did. Some of them might be them.
After the.
Yes.
They might be paid off.
And that's what I'm issues when I get it from the ethics office, I can just have them gone immediately, once I know.
No,
But, and listen, everybody who needs to know knows that we are in a big transition here, that our office at the police station has been totally redone. Totally redone.
Yeah,
So-
What else
just
I
going
wanted
into
to
the
say?
future, Brenda, it's no big deal, this was something for me to look at.
That's fine. I can give it to Barbara.
Okay.
Barbara
Not a
can
problem.
get it to you.
Bob, on hiring someone for her office, do we have to go through sending letters to the school and the county?
No, because this is gonna be a temporary position.
Okay, that's.
Yeah.
Get somebody as soon as you can.
For the people out there, I'm gonna face the camera. Please only use the city of Shamokin PayGov site to pay your city of Shamokin bills, your tax bills, your police fines, whatever you're paying online. I have been receiving lots of tax bill payments and other payments from Shamokin Township, from, Cole Township. And now I have to hurry up and write the check and get it to the other tax collectors, and it's past discount. So these people are gonna end up missing discount because they paid on our site.
There's no way.
And it says, everything says Shamokin City.
But you can't like decline pay right on the site.
Yes, I can. But because I've been working myself,
And it's, yeah, that's yours.
yeah. It's too late to decline it now. So I just have to write a check, and they'll probably get their checks in February.
Yeah, just.
Because I have other things
You
to do.
asked me.
Okay. All right, thanks, Greg. I know, thank you.
Sorry, sorry, I made a whole jump. Supposed to be that way. Excuse me.
Is that all?
This phone call.
Yes, sir.
Go ahead.
Frankie, have anything?
Nope, everyone's disappointment, I don't have to know.
Aw. Great.
Yeah.
City admin. Wonderful. Mrs. Moyer.
Okay, well, I have a few things, just one or two things. And it's too bad Brenda had to step out there. No, very simply, Brenda emailed me September 1st, check to be sure, and asked if I could meet with her to have her present a proposal and some ideas that she had concerning how we can address the shortfall. We had met with, a different group of us had met with Darryl Peck, and who else am I trying to think of? You were at that meeting. Daisy, we're not, so we've all been sort of playing.
I have a share of it.
She came up with a date, and I said, yes, I would sit and listen to it.
Yeah, I get home in time, you know, that's.
And so I did. At any rate, here's my takeaway from that meeting.
He's laying up my suit. Sorry.
Here's my takeaway.
Sorry.
And looking at the proposal, I thought that there were some worthwhile ideas, some innovative ideas. I also thought that, everybody knows me at this point, going slowly and really looking at something and, taking lots of things into consideration is always a good idea. In attendance at that meeting was, Mr. Slavin, Peter, Brenda, and myself. And, although, I'm certainly never one to reject anything out of hand, one of the things that occurred to me was, I think that we have to have department heads to, like, for instance, Kevin, to be the person who can give me and the rest of council insight as to some of the ideas that, for example, would affect that department that I couldn't possibly know as Kevin knows or Charlie knows. So at any rate, there was a lot of listening that was done and, some going back and forth. At the end of the meeting, I did say to Brenda, I'm always comfortable when everybody's on board. And I asked her if she would put a copy of her ideas, her proposal in each council person's mailbox. I don't know if council people who got that.
I don't know.
So I would hope she would do that. Nothing really came from the meeting except a lot of brainstorming. And so I think that they're right, there is nothing wrong with that, and I always try to be open-minded to people's ideas, but I think, in my opinion, we have a long way to go to come up with a workable solution, one that's not gonna really slam the taxpayers, and I don't claim to know what the answer is. But I do think that, we have a lot of smart people here, and we need to take some time to think it through. And anyway, for those of you who are listening to me, I'm coming at the end. I should have jumped in at the beginning. I'm sorry, Charlie. Sorry, didn't
That's all
interrupt you. But at any rate, without going on and on, some good ideas. We're far from a solution. We want input from everybody, and off to you, Jay, since you.
Yeah, just to reiterate, it was a very productive meeting. the information that Brenda gave us, and hopefully Councilman Seidel and Councilman Brennan will get a copy of this. I have mine all full of notes, but we basically agreed that this proposal was one of the main options to begin working on in terms of how we solve the issues facing the city in terms of loans or whatever our strategy is for next year's budget. Now, I'm not sure if Mr. Slavy has any more input on that. He was here, but it was really productive. What we tried to avoid was coming up with, and I don't want to say arbitrary number, but I'll use that as an example, to come up with an arbitrary number and then try and reverse engineer the millage to fit it. We really did go through everything, and basically it does boil down to we need to have budget hearings again. It's very important. That way we can have an accurate number to present to council for their consideration for the upcoming budget and future budgets. Because it's not a short-term solution we're looking for. So.
The only thing I want to add to that, if I may, is the mayor and I have had a conversation, the mayor and myself, and Mrs. Seidel, who were president of yesterday, for the state call. We learned that the individual from the bank, Mr. Peck, and Brian Hudson from Act 47, Pennsylvania County League, they're going to be putting some information together. That meeting that I had here last week, that we speak about with Mrs. Moyer and Brenda, David, and so forth, we were here again. We intend to move forward once we hear from the bond people. We intend to move forward with additional meetings. And also, I've begun the budget process because we're in the Act 47. We don't have the liberty of waiting until November or December like normal municipalities. So I've started the process. There's going to be meetings, and I will do everything humanly possible to accommodate your personal schedules and so forth. But don't take it personal. If you're scheduled for a meeting, come in here at 5 o'clock, 6 o'clock, 7 o'clock. I'll do the best I can. And what we're just talking about is the meeting that we had for a day or so yesterday. It was, and where we're going to build on that. And the call yesterday afternoon with Brian and tell people what they're doing with Daryl Peck and preparing something to come forward. There's going to be a lot of information coming towards everybody in the coming weeks.
Absolutely. We all need to be involved in.
I mean, Mr. Seidel, you were present on the call yesterday. You heard, you agree with what they're doing, the Pennsylvania Comedy League, the Act 47 coordinator, and Daryl Peck.
Yes, however, and this has always been my concern, and I'm sure that everybody has heard me complain about it on more than one occasion. I understand how the rules are and that we have to follow, certain people can be in certain rooms together and talk about certain things at certain times. I understand that. But other governments do this. They have these meetings and they make it work, and we're not making it work. I take time off of my job. I have to clock out of my actual job that pays me to come here to meetings during the day, which I do because God love my boss. I have that option. I am very lucky and blessed that way. So when I clock out to come here to a meeting with the first round of people, and then there's a meeting with another round of people where the same things are discussed, but now in a more detailed level, and I don't know about that meeting and am not invited to it. But then I come back to an Act 47 meeting and we talk about it at that point. Now I have 2/3 of the information that I'm supposed to have to make a decision about the future of Shamokin for the next 20 years.
We're far.
That's not true.
Well, play it out. Play
It's
it
not
out.
true.
Not everybody gets the same
We
pieces
need
because
it.
Brenda, I'm speaking for 1 minute, please.
Fine.
Not everybody gets the same information at every meeting. We have all complained about it at one time or another because conversations evolve differently, and I know we cannot deliberate, but we do have the right to be educated, all of us. And I'm just concerned that with something this big, not one piece should fall through a crack. Not one option should not be considered. And with everybody not being in the same room, that is something that has the potential to happen. That's all I'm saying. I was in the Act 47 meeting and I was at the first one, and there are ones I can't make. I understand that, but I don't think that this is a discussion that we can all have if we're not on the same page. This is big. And you know, Dave, thank you, and Mrs. Moyer just said that Brenda had phenomenal, like, good ideas, brainstorming. I missed that. I would have liked to be a part of that, and I think we all should have the opportunity to be a part of it, because the next time that conversation may not be the same, and I just don't want to miss anything. This is too big. So, yes, I am happy with the direction that the Act 47 people are taking, but other than a couple pieces of what we just said, Mrs. Moyer, Mr. Rano, and Mr. Rowan couldn't make that yesterday because it was a strange time. They don't know what that means. So that's just one example. So we're having a 4-person conversation because it was Mayor Brown, our treasurer, Bob, and me. And that was an option. And I see by the way everybody's looking, the rest of you don't know what we're talking about. And I'm used to being on the other side of that, so I'm just saying we have to find a better way to communicate, because Bob brought up budget meetings, and that's.
And Jen, I still don't know what the original plan is that was proposed by the Act 47 team, let alone the amended part of it. So
There wasn't anything proposed.
No, she's talking about.
No, the original financial
He's
meeting
saying-
when Bittner and everybody was here.
Yeah, nothing was proposed.
I have no idea even what was talked about.
No, but there were some pretty,
So,
Betsy,
Oh,
some pretty,
I mean, it was
extreme,
substantial
options
options.
that were
Yeah.
presented that
but to say that
took up the
there's
troops, I would say.
an amendment that's possible to it that needs to discuss, I still don't know what the original thing was. So yes, we all have to be in a room at some point in time. Even if
How
it's
do we do that?
have it as a public meeting and let the public listen to it. Let them know the facts right from the start.
Well, I planned on meeting with all of you. The meeting that we had yesterday morning was a finance meeting. I had asked Barbara last year, could we start having finance meetings again? And nobody else would have been invited. It would have been us finance.
Well,
Dave,
we were
myself,
looking at it as a
Barbara, and him.
department meeting.
Right.
What Jen is saying, excuse me, and others are saying is that we're now faced with a
I understand.
catastrophic situation. And so I think we all agree that we're all sort of tiptoeing around, I think, and trying to play by the rules. And maybe we need a reinterpretation of how far can we stretch those rules so that we can get feedback from everybody. But my main concern is if there's anything that I dislike, it's coming to a meeting such as this, being given some sort of information, a proposal, whatever we want to call it. It's happened to me at other times. And being expected to have some sort of an opinion on the spot. I'm sorry, I'm not that quick. I really am not. I'm the kind of person who needs to peruse and look and so forth. So as the meeting ended, yesterday, wow, it seems like
Seems like a week ago.
now.
Yeah.
5 hours later. It was my concern that everybody be informed and that Brenda then, take it to the next, group of council people and
Yeah.
so forth. And that then we all come together and discuss it. Yes.
I'd like to address it too.
That's the plan.
So
You just have to.
Since I've been doing enough speaking time, I'm gonna say one more thing.
Okay.
I have no objection to you people meeting. I will sit and listen. I gladly do that. I don't feel comfortable I'm speaking me personally, with a short term that I have left of making a future decision. Councilman Roden, Kenson Seidel is gonna be here. You might have new faces in this room, and this is gonna have effects for a long time. I don't want, and I'm not trying to get out of this, but I don't want the new council and mayor to be saddled with what me and Barbara came into. I don't think that's fair. I will gladly sit in and I will listen, probably give you an opinion, might not like, and I will gladly do that, but I'm not comfortable as far as voting on something that's gonna go long-term. And I'm not trying to push it off, because I think on January 1st, there's gonna be changes here.
However, Charlie, whether you realize it or not, that budget has to be done before January.
Yeah.
No,
You have
the budget does.
The
but
budget,
this other issue
I mean,
doesn't.
I'm talking some of this other financial stuff, Scott.
Right.
The budget, I
No, the
understand,
budget-
that's
But
my
it's all
obligation.
gonna come back and tie into the budget.
Yes, my obligation
But
is
it
to
is a
provide the citizens of Shamokin with a budget, and I'm prepared to do that. I'm talking, I know Mr. Peck, I've dealt with him, you guys weren't around when he first came here. You got, I wanna go into detail, I did meet this gentleman. I'm just not comfortable with only a short term left. And you guys are gonna be up here, you're gonna be under that decision. The previous councils didn't care, I still care, whether I'm gonna be here or not, I still care. And as far as the budget, I will fulfill my obligations. If I don't like something in the budget, I'm gonna tell you. And simple as that. I didn't mean I'd ever renege on that stuff. I will be prepared to vote on a budget, no problem. But as far as the finance committee, I'll gladly sit if they want me to be here. I'll listen. I have no problem with that. I don't wanna see the city go through what we had to go through. Because like I said, you're gonna be here, Scott, so is Seidel. And I don't think that's fair. And you might have different opinions come the first of the year. None of us know. There might be other ideas out there none of us know about. That's all I'm saying.
And I'd like
I
to.
agree.
You know what I
I'd
mean?
like to.
And not only that, Scott, look at it this way. You and Councilwoman Seidel are gonna be sitting here.
For sure.
You're definitely here, no matter what.
Three of us.
And can you imagine if Charlie Brown voted on something that's gonna have a long-term effect? That's all I'm saying. If it's necessary, yes, I would do it, but I'm just I would gladly look at it and all the facts, and I have no issue with that, and I will definitely look at the budget and vote on the budget, that's my obligation. But I was looking at the, long-term effects. Like I said, I know this Mr. Peck, I've met him before, I've been in meetings with him. I just don't wanna see the city straddled with what I came here to, Scott, you know what I mean? Because you're gonna be dealing with it. And I know, and whatever decision we make isn't gonna be easy. I'm not gonna ever say it is. That's all. I'm done. Yeah. I'm fine.
I think that's.
After all of that.
Sorry, I didn't mean to take your time.
I think that's it.
I don't think it was my time.
Oh,
I punted to me.
No, that was still Mrs. Moore.
Oh, I'm sorry, I put it in your time.
That was still Mrs. Moore.
Okay, I apologize.
Now,
Unless you wanna wait.
no, not really. We've been here a while. So just so that we get into our own time frame, we should probably set a date for trick or treat for this meeting. Any thoughts on dates for trick or treat?
Trick or treat.
Actual-
Halloween.
Okay, so it's Sunday?
Right.
Isn't that a Sunday?
Yeah, Sunday night.
Saturday. Sunday's a holy day. Should be on Saturday.
No.
I knew that was
Sunday's a holy
I'm
day.
thinking, wait, am I supposed to be at church? So is it the 31st?
31st is.
And what's the time?
What do we do?
A
6 to
Sunday?
8, 6 to 9?
Whatever the township does.
Yeah, it is Sunday.
We can set it, they'll follow. I think it's 6 to 9.
Sunday the 31st.
I like her idea of getting first this time, and let them follow us.
Yeah. So actually on Halloween,
It is Sunday then.
And Jennifer, I think you're right. If we don't decide this month,
Yeah, we'll probably.
and somebody wants to have a Halloween event, they miss the 30-day window and won't be able to have it.
Yeah.
thanks. And the time 6 to 8 or 6 to 9?
What did we usually have?
I get more funding. I can't do anything for you.
What was
Yeah.
it normally?
Oh no, I thought it was 5.
Do we, what? 5?
No, it's I think it's 6.
I think you're right, I think it's
It was 6 to 8, and then it went.
I mean,
It's probably enough.
Look at what we did.
All right, so whatever it was last year. Oh, wait.
They do in charity.
Why we have it?
Yeah.
Yeah, we had it last year.
All right, fine. Now he's getting sick.
It's an individual decision, it's not really.
That's what they do in
Okay.
Cherry Hill. I'm telling you.
My second thing is September is National Recovery Month. And since Shamokin is one of the only communities in this area that actually has a recovery club, I was wondering if we could do a proclamation specifically stating that September is Recovery Month in Shamokin, and also thank Oasis for their efforts and present the proclamation to them at their event on the 19th.
Lovely.
Okay.
I
Anybody about having trick or treat on
Sunday.
No, actually.
No, because actually,
Yes, absolutely.
the
Somebody on
vigil
Facebook
mass
will
for the
complain.
Holy Day is canceled because it falls on a Sunday night, so there won't even be mass that night for All Souls Day, All Saints Day.
Oh, that's it.
When is trick or treat gonna be up?
What about us?
Wait a minute, let's get on the same
In
page.
6 years, I have continually said trick or treating is on Halloween.
Yeah.
That's my feel.
Okay,
You don't change Christmas because it's not on the weekend.
I agree with you. Is it 6 to 8, 6 to 9?
But if I know Scott's a Saturday, so if there's 3 votes for Saturday, that's fine by me.
Okay, well, it's going on the agenda. You figure it out on Monday.
All right, our benches and picnic tables have finally come off back order and have been delivered into the city. The street department has been diligently working to put them all together and get the list of where they're supposed to be replaced. So there are changes coming to the city. There's no set schedule because the street department has graciously fit me and my recreation stuff into their, especially with this rainstorm and stuff.
Yeah.
And thank you, by the way. When I was on my way to work, we took on water at Cabrini, and they were out shoveling the storm system out. They were amazing. So thank you for everything they did. As I get more information on the benches and the tables being replaced, I'll let everybody know. However, we will have benches left over, and community organizations have taken some of those. If your community organization has a need for a bench, please send me an email at my city email address or contact Mr. Slavy, and we will see what we can do.
Absolutely. 2 of them right at the bottom of the hill.
There you go.
They're falling apart.
At the fire company,
Yeah.
Right from the rescue there. It's starting to break apart.
They'll get you.
where the boys sit when they're waiting for calls.
Okay, yeah. And I'm done. I'm finished. Turkeys are done, people are finished.
I'm gonna draw you back in. Concerts in the Park, Fall Festival.
Oh, wait, I'm not finished. I'm bringing all this up on Monday. I'm trying to conserve time, but the September 11th Remembrance Walk on Saturday begins at 8 in the municipal parking lot. We won't have time it'll be over before we get to the public meeting. Please, if you can participate, it's a solemn event. It's honoring so many people and lives. Please come out, walk if you can. If you can't, meet us at Quad Kaler. That would be wonderful. And then later that night, Heritage is having 90s night and closing down the street from 5 to 11. So please come over and see them, and all the other events I can talk about on Monday. I wouldn't want to leave you.
I just have one for you with and it pertains to you, and you already know about it. The concert in the park idea that I pushed for years now, and back as far as Dan McGaugh fought against it, having alcohol provided at the park. I know we don't have any more scheduled this year. For those of you that will be here next year, don't agree to it again. I attended the concert where alcohol was allowed over there. Covered Bridge had a wonderful stand set up, and we're doing good things. And there was also half a dozen people drinking Keystone Light out of coolers, and Dave was having issues that he just wasn't prepared to deal with. I truly think that, again, I was one of them that said, let's give it a try, and maybe it could be a good thing. And unfortunately, he had some issues over there that were, yes. So,
And well,
I need more.
just for your futures, for the people that are gonna be here, if you even talk to Dave, he's gonna tell you it really didn't work out well.
Well, you know, maybe we should try.
Yes.
We keep trying.
Yeah, you can't fault yourself.
You can't fault that. We figured it out. You know, it's-
Now, that's just for the stuff at Claude Kaler Park.
There's just.
The other individual organizations
Oh, I have no
who
problem
have.
with that. They kind of police themselves.
Yes, they do.
And
There's no incident.
Dave is having an issue of dealing with the concert itself and trying to organize things and sell food and everything else.
And with the,
He
yeah,
doesn't have time to police people bringing in
right,
outside.
we don't have the police force right now, you're right.
So I just wanted,
Thank you.
so.
Remember, Scott asked that question. He said, what are we gonna do? And then we'll.
You were exactly,
You
you were exactly right.
And he was right.
They did. There were
No, he was.
cooler sitting
He
and
did.
people that
I
had.
said, what do you do?
Knew that they would be out.
He said, what do you do?
I go to the majority of the concerts in the
That's a
park,
shame.
and these are people that I've never seen at a concert before. Who showed up there just because they could.
You know,
drink beer.
and that's
You
what's
probably
sad.
start getting out of towners.
Yep, that's what's sad there. A few people can ruin it for the good.
Yeah.
You know, that's really,
I'm sorry, Jeff.
okay. I'm sorry.
No, I think I was done a second.
You could hear.
It sure is.
I'm done.
Charles,
Not sure.
Well, here, unless you wanna say anything.
I'm done. I'm being that. The, Mr. Rose?
He's thinking.
Give me the night is about right now. The codification of the ordinance book, where are we at with that?
No move list.
I'll ask you again next month. Smoke, how do we make out with the conversation with Janelle down at the county tax office?
The conversation that I've had with her and have had with her in the past, including this most recent one, and I believe Kathy's had some conversations with Janelle as to where the city or any municipality stands with properties. And Kathy, you're welcome to chime in. The city, since we're talking about Shamokin, they have first dibs on any property, okay? That someone, say for example, this we can go down and buy any property, and you and I have had over the months, particularly, when you were here during the last couple of sales, we'd have, as a municipality, first dibs over the public buying any property.
Okay, I understand all that, but I asked you to contact her to have 2 properties pulled off of the list. Did that happen?
When I heard, no, it didn't happen. Simply because if we would and something was to happen, the city is liable. And I can tell you from a budgetary standpoint, we're getting real close to having financial troubles. Your police department is, and Mayor, you noticed, how many hours in overtime?
This month, I don't know, last month was terrible.
But,
What?
but how can we stop that, Bob, at this point?
You can, Charlie, but again, okay, you gotta be realistic. Do you wanna buy some properties and take that risk that if they collapse, you're gonna take money from the general fund? That money may be,
I'm not saying that, Bob. Councilman Rowan just asked you a question. That's all he did. That's all he asked you.
Can I ask
I
which
mean,
2 properties they were?
just say yes or no to him and be done with it. I'm not saying buy it. That's all I would do, just answer yes or no. As far as overtime in the budget,
what was
that's,
the question?
I just asked what properties they were, because as Mr. Slavy mentioned, I've been working with Janelle,
Right,
Officer Camarano, registered to go to the meeting, and I'm going to probably have the same presentation, Scott, that you did several years ago. Just saying, if you purchase these, and encumbrances come with them from a city perspective, and, the expectations after the sale, et cetera. But I can look at those 2 properties you're mentioning and see if they're on Camarano's list.
Smoke detectors will be, being installed Friday again at 10 o'clock. Anybody that wants to volunteer to help cart them around and possibly install, deliver them, however we're gonna put it. They're meeting down at Mill Square in the room we have our meeting at 9:30. They'll probably usually head out around 10, I believe. Other question. Where are we having our council meeting on Monday?
Down in the square.
Are we opening it to the public?
That's on my list to talk about also. As everybody knows, this meeting particularly, because we had accessory staff here and a whole room full of folks, I asked Bob to publicize not open to the public. We are a substantial risk county right now, we're a red county for transmission rates. Do you all want to leave it totally open to the public? Restricted to a certain number of public like we did at some point in times, which was 12? I think we had 12 seats available.
Yes.
Or do you
12
want to close the meetings and live stream like we also did during the height of the pandemic? That's a decision I don't think that is mine and Bob's choice to make like we did for tonight. That's for y'all. What you feel most comfortable with for the safety of yourselves and others. If you want to keep it open, wide open, that we have 30 people in that room, okay.
Go for it.
If you want to limit it to 12, okay. If you want to close it down, I'm okay with that also. As long as we follow the guidelines, Frank, that we have to with public comment periods and having it available online.
Mask mandate.
You can mandate masks if you want to. I don't think there's any restrictions other than schools right now.
Oh, okay.
I know like the donut shop, McDonald's, all of those places are closed.
They're
They're
closed
closing
down.
their
Yeah.
in-person seating because of the problems.
How many people could we get in there if we don't close it?
12 to 14.
If you keep everybody 6 feet apart, you can get 12 in the audience. That's not counting us.
How do we do that? It's
Okay.
open, but it's conservative.
Yeah.
Would we still have to live stream just in case a 13th person showed up and we had to turn them away? Or how does that work?
What do we do?
If it's a
I think we're
public,
still live
public meeting, you don't have to live stream. But my recommendation would be to shut it down and just live stream. Probably as the oldest person in the room, I'm more susceptible than any of you that the COVID, so that kind of freaks me out a little bit.
Right behind you.
Yeah, I know, again.
So you would recommend?
My recommendation would be
down there.
shut it down and just live stream it.
Let's stay up here.
Well, that's gonna be my next question. If we do that, because it's advertised to be at the Mill Road Square building, does it still have to be there? Or because it's now remote, we can just do it here and be a little more comfortable?
We have to get a notice in the paper.
If you're gonna put a notice in that it's gonna be closed to the public, you can always have it here. Because both things could be in the same notice.
Because you're going to have, what, 8 people maybe?
You folks decide, and I know we can't take a vote now or decide sometime in the next day, everybody get hold of Bob, let him know what you're most comfortable with and so, because we can't vote tonight.
No.
You're gonna have to make a decision tomorrow.
Yeah.
Because I'm gonna have to
Get it in the paper.
get it in.
Because there's only 2 more days.
On Friday.
Yeah, there won't be no paper.
Because there's no paper Monday.
No.
So if you hold it here, it has to be live streamed, that's what we're saying.
Well, if you hold it anywhere and you're closing it, it's gonna have to be live stream.
Okay. So that can happen.
Now let me look at my 2 ITers in a row. And this is one of the reasons why you're here.
Okay.
Can we take public comment on the current YouTube format that we're using?
We're not able to figure it out how to get them coming through. They were turned on tonight. However, I've been trying on my personal device. I cannot get access to the comments. But what I read on Google, if you start it, and it should, with comments, it should be able to, but you can't, it seemingly does not seem like you can turn them on and off.
So you can't
Yeah,
say.
when you start with them on.
Either start it
I
on or
think.
not.
And we need to talk to the person who originally set this up.
He's gonna be in Florida.
Actually, Doreen set up the YouTube.
Yeah,
Oh,
that's,
okay.
yeah.
I thought it was your husband.
No, you already had a YouTube account.
But we are,
Okay.
like,
So,
wanna explore it
so
more.
if we close the meeting, are you confident that we can accommodate the public to ask questions?
I'll let you know by tomorrow.
Can't you just have them email?
I guess we could.
What, email questions?
Yeah, because the comment is before the actual meeting takes
Yeah.
place.
The last comment period is like a spur of the
Yeah, last time we
Yeah.
on the agenda, right?
Oh, yeah,
So- So they would,
Yeah, I guess we could provide an email address.
I was gonna say an email or have them send them through the city's Facebook Messenger.
you know, we're gonna do that. If we're gonna do that, why not just stay here?
We're gonna get the same thing.
Yeah, I'm okay with that. It's, I just wanna make sure that we're within the guidelines of what we will accommodate. I'm okay with
Doing
it
this,
being closed
we're
down.
not being ordered by the CDC or anybody. It's just, it's a
It's
precaution.
for protection,
You know,
basically.
you watch the news and Cumberland County's going up and up. And it's up to the precaution. You wanna go down there, we go down there and leave the public in.
If you leave them in, there's only 12 seats, like you said, and the 13th one's turned away.
I wanted to make a comment and I wasn't allowed. This is what,
Right. Yeah, that's what we're consolidating.
unfortunately, our meetings are the only ones in a tri-county area that get more than 12 people at.
I was just gonna say, you're probably,
Everybody else,
It's
like
one
Cole
too.
Township has already closed
Yeah.
their municipal building, correct?
That's correct.
I mean, it's not just us folks. The only difference between us and everybody else is everybody comes to our meetings. Nobody goes to any of these other meetings. So they're able to restrict things very easily where we're not.
I suggest we be able to close it down. Because if you do get that 13th person and we don't allow that person to speak, we can probably have more trouble, John. That's just my sentiment. I don't wanna do it that way, but I don't know how, the way to be fair about it. I mean, if we space the chairs out and get to 12 people, who's gonna stand at the door until the 13th or 14th people, you can't come to our meeting tonight, it's, you know.
I'm good
Unless
with-
somebody feels different than
I'm good
me.
with being
I mean,
close,
I don't-
being here as long as we can take public comment and that kind of stuff. The only thing that I would stress, and we've stressed this before, you need to be a resident of the city of
Yes,
Shamokin. So if you're sending a comment, your name, your address, all has to be included. If you happen to live in Ohio or Florida, we're not reading your comment.
I mean, that's, see how you do it for you, and that's what I'm saying. Just do it that way.
Please let me know.
If that's allowable, Frank.
Yeah.
Please let me know by lunchtime tomorrow what you want to do.
Unfortunately, it gets better.
No, it's, and I think
That's the sad part, forming back in just again.
At this time, it's our kids.
Yeah, that's, I wouldn't be,
Well, thank you, sir. All right, you guys burned through most of my stuff. Thank you very much. Everybody's, Bob, computer access for our staff. The chief has been continually, he's chief of police for 2 months and still doesn't have apparently the access that he needs to do things as the chief of police. I realize the swimming pool's going on and everything else. Kathy is a member of staff, needs to get access to, we have staff that can't do their jobs because they can't get the computer system to work. I get it. He needs to give us one day of getting these people the access that they need.
I heard him, I will do something, and it is, and in all due respect, I changed my mind.
Okay. Okay with that.
I hear you. I hear all of you loud and clear in
You
regards to.
do
the
whatever
subject
you
of-
need to do to make sure they all have access by Friday. Not a big thing, I don't think. Anyway, for the folks that are out there in the world of virtual reality, I know somewhere there are already comments out there that they allowed Kathy Vitovich to be at the meeting. So, to clarify it, Kathy Vitovich, 2 months ago, was hired as a part of staff. Prior to the meeting tonight, we had an informational meeting put on by Kathy Vitovich and Dave Reed on a new system of doing landlord-tenant rentals and vacant property registrations. We can't deliberate at informational meetings. They were asked to stay. Mr. Reed had to leave because he had a prior commitment. Kathy stayed for us. And the reason that you got to watch us tonight is we're using Kathy's computer and everything to be able to stream this for you. So that's why Kathy Vitovich has been here for the meeting. And our other staffer, Sarah Shepard, is our new media person since Doreen left, and we're able to get back to doing the live streams to reach a bigger audience. So they're not members of the public. They are staff that were personally asked to be here to accommodate us tonight before you go off on some type of tangent. Thank you, and God bless you. Does anybody have anything else?
Who's that sound?
All right,
Are we disconnected?
we'll adjourn it. No, do we need an executive session today?
No.
For Bear? No? You're good? All right, then we are adjourned, folks.